Okay. I think I'm good. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Alright, we good? I didn't even know you could join the wrong stream. Okay. So, something happened here. Okay. So, Big Bro Cook asked Mr. Morj, why are none of the JoJo YouTubers I watch as brutally honest as you? Would you do why Part 8 didn't work video on Manga Morj? Yeah, I want to do a Part 8 comparison to Part 7 video. Because I do like aspects of Part 8, but it's honestly, dude, it's so weird. Part 8 just devolves into being a ripoff of Part 7. It's like he didn't know what to do to end it, so he's like, let me just copy what I did for Part 7. But it doesn't work because he didn't do any of the stuff he did for Part 7. I don't know. Okay, how was I in the wrong stream? Can somebody who's smart about this stuff explain to me how that works? How could I join a stream that's not the correct stream? How's that even physically possible? Also, am I behind on any supers? Let me catch up on everything. Somebody go. How was I in the other stream? Somebody explain that to me. I don't get how it works. Stormfox says, when you predict the three-way Davy backfight, you forgot one thing. What Shanks said in the chapters, no one hurts his friends. So what's funny is in that chapter, he was like, I won't let this place turn into a battleground. And he didn't, because he just ended it immediately. Spade says, I can't wait for the kid in Laurent. Okay, here's what I'm divided on right now. So I've written 2 videos today. Polmau, holy shit, thanks for the 20 Morj memberships. Guys, everyone say thank you to Polmau. Did I miss any other memberships before this? 20 memberships. Damn. Everyone must have really enjoyed the chapter. Everyone say thank you. Everyone thank Polmau. Probably used the wrong stream key. I don't even know what a stream key is, man. I kind of know what a stream key is. It's like, here's the thing they don't tell you about the internet. Keys on the internet are very different from keys in the real world. All right, guys, let's get this. The stream likes up to... Fuck. We got 800 viewers in here. Let's get it up to 300. 300. Yeah, keys on the internet, they're like codes and things like that. All sorts of complicated things. Hold on. I think I'm missing some stuff. Okay. Snap, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 6 months. Hey, when do we get back into the car in the Morjcast? I've asked a lot of times. BTW, you are not that late today. Thank you. Yeah, I couldn't be late for this chapter, that's for sure. Wisdom Minari, welcome to the Supernova. Okay, I'm seeing stuff. Maybe it's because I'm in the wrong stream. So, I didn't realize people liked, for those of you who don't know, for Yonko tier members or a certain, like, $5 Patreon tier members and up, yeah, Yonko tier members, Patreon tier members who are basically $5 and up for either YouTube members or Patreon members, right? You get access to a podcast. On the podcast, I give all my unfiltered thoughts, pure unfiltered thoughts, extended stuff that I can't say on stream, I can't say on video, any of that. I give my pure unfiltered thoughts, and for a long time I did it while I was driving. So I'd drive around in a car, and anytime I'm on a moderately long drive, I would be, recording. Nowadays, there's nowhere that I consistently drive to long enough that I would make that the regular means of doing the podcast, so I just record it just straight up. I thought you guys would prefer the straight up recordings because they don't have the extra car noises and stuff like that, so you just get better audio quality. But maybe you guys like the ambiance of the car. I don't know. I'll think about it. Sean Easton says, hey, Mr. Morj, you can have managing and standard mods. Managing can make a word ban list, good for spoilers, and make chat slow/fast mode. Well, Sean Easton, you sound like you want to be a managing mod. Let's see if I can make that happen right now. Here's the thing. Hold on. I saw that managing mods is a thing, but I didn't know how to... Why can't I make you a managing mod? I click on your thing, it says remove a standard moderator. How do I make you a managing mod? It doesn't give me an option to make you a, what do you call? Okay, I'm gonna try this, Sean Easton. I'm gonna remove you as a managing mod, as a standard mod, and then turn you into a managing mod. Don't freak out. Holy shit, there's so much I gotta catch up on. Hold on. Let's no one freak out. Okay, we're making Sean Easton. It worked. Sean Easton is a managing mod. KLD Sullivan says, I'll tell you how you joined the wrong stream if you make me mod. That's not how that works, dude, but thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 3 months. Also, Ramadan Kareem to all. Yes, everybody who enjoys this holiday, doesn't enjoy this holiday, happy Ramadan to all of you. Stormfox says, love Dory and Broggy referencing chapter 1. Yeah, wait. Yeah. With the same... Dude, kid got Higuma'd. That's hilarious. Zaibatsu says, listen, I know they're not Haki gods, but one-shotting Kid and Killer as well as knocking out more of his crew with Haki from the attack. Impressive. What? Who are you talking about? They're not Haki gods, but one... Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Kid and Killer are not Haki gods, but Shanks knocked them out. Yeah, no, that's a crazy impressive... Okay, let's talk about Shanks real quick. Could there be any better timing for this poster? For those of you who want this poster, you are in luck. You can get it delivered straight to you in high quality matte print. There's all sorts of details to this. This is a poster that's it's 34 by 26, matte finish, museum grade paper, pigmented archival links. Hold on, let me give you guys the link because you guys want it. All right, here, there you go. Hold on. All right. You can have that poster in the background tomorrow. I mean, it won't literally ship tomorrow, but you could order it today and it will come soon. Tala John says, Morj, I made a meme you'll love. Let me click this. I hope it's not porn. Or maybe I secretly hope it's porn. Okay, let's all look at this meme real quick. We're going to look at this meme together. I don't know if it's a good meme or not. Okay. All right, ready? Let's take a look. I've not read the full meme yet. Let's see. Oh, okay, so it's between Sanji and Kid. Strongest Jiki main, average black leg user. Cannot observe a man jumping straight at him. Had to hide behind Zoro after being carried by him for an entire battle. True. Could not put down Big Mom even after literal nukes. True. Was bullied by a fat dinosaur while they drowned his vice captain. True. As conquers Haki with dreams to become a pirate king, somehow still loses fights like he's a washed up YouTuber. I don't know what you're talking about there. Has made the same... Oh, okay, you're talking about other like Jake Paul and such, right? Has made the same dumbass move... Sorry, I just read YouTuber. I was like, is this a shot at me? Has made the same dumbass move of rushing Yonko unprepared for 2 years. Yeah, it's been 2 straight years. And what he's done is... So first he tried to attack Shanks unprepared, and then he lost his arm. Then he tried to do the same thing to Kaido, and then that didn't work out at all. And he got thrown in jail, and his vice captain got permanently diseased. No, you can't say diseased, otherwise the Oda's Angels will say it's not a disease, blah, 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 blah. His vice captain got permanently physically defected, I suppose, which is something a doctor apparently can't cure. And then what did he do immediately after that? He goes after the first Yonko again, and this time the entire crew's annihilated. All right? Cannot keep pace with a dying old lady. King of one-shots, getting one-shot. Entire story purpose was to deliver ancient letters to the actual red-haired pirates. SPS backstory. Dude, this is crazy. When you list out all of Kid's stuff like that, it is wildly embarrassing. Average black leg user. All right. Observation Haki specialist. Literally can't be sniped. Onigashima wide range. Okay, this is going to be some Sanji wank, I can tell. Ongoing rivalry with Zoro spanning decades. Is weaker but always close by. Okay, knocked her out while upholding his code of honor. Okay. Yeah, that's true. Knocked out Big Mom, I suppose. Sent that same dinosaur to go meet up with Enel. Just a chef who doesn't care for strength. Accidentally became a wing of the future pirate king anyways. I will always say that that's Sanji's coolest attribute, that he doesn't really care about fighting like Luffy and Zoro does. He's just good at it. Has grown from past mistakes. Will now ask for help when needed. Is literally too fast to see. Cosplays Superman by face-tanking punches he could easily dodge. Somehow took 2 entire arcs to cover his backstory. Yeah, when you line it up like that, it is kind of sad. I think Sanji versus Kid is now officially a legitimate argument, you know? I think it's now officially a legitimate argument. You can argue a lot of things with that, right? I think that at the end of the day, Law versus Sanji is still not an... I don't know. There's things that you could argue. The Outback Panda says, I was going to ask how you felt about, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for a month. I was going to ask how you felt about the added scenes in 1054, like Killer saying Kid would be Pirate King, but that feels like a joke now. Dude, it just goes to show the anime is not canon. It's never canon, it's not canon, it'll never be canon. Leo Recto, welcome to the Yonko. Nerve AMV Maker says, was that a sword feat we witnessed? If that's the case, then Mihawk as a warlord is the worst employee of all time. Dude, the Mihawk versus Shanks stuff, it's back. It's back in full force. Nicholas Sealstern says your 3-way Davy backfight theory fell under faster than Kid, but you're right about Blackbeard Pirates on Egghead. Yeah, you take some, you lose some. 3-way Davy backfight, dude, this is wild. because I think I went through the video and was like, well, I think I said in the video straight up, I said, we can assume that the kid pirates obviously won't just be eliminated from the story here, because that's not an option. Yes, they can. I guess they can. Justin Holland says, at least Kid got Shanks to use serious attack. That's true, but we don't know how serious, you know? Like, he should force Shanks to use a serious attack at the bare minimum. Is this Shanks' ultimate move? I doubt it. I'm sure that Shanks can do more than that. Because keep in mind, you know, this is the same move that Roger used on Odin, so we can assume it's a strong signature move, and you know, it's kind of comparable to, you know, Kaido using Thunder Bagua against Luffy, I would take it. Like a strong signature iconic move, I assume, but not everything they have up their sleeves. JWP says, do the Giants have Haki? Seems OP. Dory and Broggy, they might just be physical force monsters, you know? I mean, they were doing this shit all the way back in, we've seen this shit from them before, right? Flame Empress says, man, Kid fans aren't even on life support anymore. Oda pulled the plug, and off-screen would have been better than this. Yeah, that's the crazy thing. It's better that it would have been better if it was off-screen and we just heard that Kid lost. Seeing how it happened is so much worse. Crunky Crucker says, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 5 months. Morj, after watching Kaido video by Hot Boy Spicy, the raid failing would ruin some thematic events like Kaido's death and possibly character/thematic stuff. No. I don't know who's Hot Boy Spicy. What a weird name. I mean, you can watch his video and believe that, or you could wait for my Wano video, which will be far more extensive and far more accurate. How do I even spell this? Hot Boy Spicy. I don't know who this is. His video says Kaido, One Piece's greatest villain. All right, I don't believe a word that this guy has to say. No offense to him. Polmau says, Mr. One shot himself. Red hair Shanks, he is him. Sick poster. Chunky YT says, hi, Mr. Morj. Did the chapter change / add to your opinion on Shanks' character in a way not elaborated on in your video? BTW, that video is fantastic. Yeah, if you guys want to see a good Shanks video, go check out the Shanks the Sage of One Piece video. I think that's a good Shanks breakdown in my opinion. Obviously, I made it, so I'm going to think it's a good video. But, you know, I do think that, I don't think it adds too much to the video that needs to be added, except for one crucial component that is going in the next video. So I have a question for you guys. Do you want the next video? Because I wrote 2 drafts today after this chapter, right? The next video, there's 2 options. They're both good. What are you more eager for? A video talking about why Kid is the worst rival in the history of fiction? Or a kid talking about Roger Shanks and the Roger Shanks parallel and what that seems to set up for Luffy that people aren't talking about? So there's 2 options. You want the Kid stuff first or the Shanks, Roger, Luffy stuff first? Because the Kid video is just shitting on Kid. And that's generally the video. But I got a lot to say about it because this is just, it's too much. Edwin Rodriguez says, sad Kid fan here. Dude, I didn't even know that there's Kid fans. Please, Morj, tell me this isn't it for Kid. And I just told you that I wanted to. I don't think it's it for Kid, but I'm done being optimistic about things. I've been through this so many times in Wano already. It's just like, okay, I don't think Oda's just going to wrap it like this. I'm sure that there's something more to it, and then there just isn't. So, you know, if... personally speaking, I think that to me it would make sense if there's a lot more, but at face value, it's just like, it seems like Kid's fucked. You know, it seems like Oda might have just written him out of the story. But there's a lot that could suggest that there's more to it, you know? Jag says, Shanks kind of makes Big Mom and Kaido look bad now. He at least makes Big Mom look really bad. Kid and Law never really did shit to Kaido. It's kind of like, okay, if Kaido decided he wanted to wipe Kid off the face of the earth, could he have done it like Shanks did just now? I think yes. I do think that it would have taken hybrid form. But that's not a fair comparison because Shanks doesn't even have a hybrid form in the first place, right? So this is Shanks as good as it gets, basically. So, yeah. Pina says, Morj, I just got first place on Mario Kart. Well, it's not earned because Mario Kart is never earned. I'm just kidding. Mario Kart, you know, there's solid consistency even in Mario Kart if you're pretty good at it. Good job, Pina. Moosey Lynn S says pulled off one of the most impressive feats so far. Agreed, and was brutal with it. Yeah, I don't think we've seen. The tricky thing is it's so hard to scale Kid because most people just assumed, because this is the way it goes, right? Kid and Law beat Big Mom through wacky sneak attacks and random explosives and a giant and convenience of Onigashima happening to be 50,000 feet in the air, right? But Kid and Law did technically defeat Big Mom, right? Those are the only feats that we have for Kid and Law, really, against a high-level character. We have Law against Blackbeard right now, so we do have Law against Blackbeard right now. But I'm saying we never really got to see Kid and Law defeat a Yonko commander first or something, so that's why their scaling is a little hazy right now, because you could argue they're above any first mate, right? There's the argument for that. They're above Yonko first mates. There's the argument that they are just basically first mate level, right? Like, I still don't know confidently if Kid is stronger than Marco, Law is stronger than Marco. So because of that, it's a little hazy to say, because at the end of the day, let's say even if they're first mate level or something like that, right? We already saw Big Mom can't easily take out Marco, right? That's confirmed. She can't easily take out Marco. I doubt that Shanks could easily take out Ben Beckman in one hit like that even, right? So it's kind of like whatever. No, it's just so hard to say. It's so hard to say because if Shanks really did one-shot Kid and Kid is supposed to be above first mate level, then that might have just been the most impressive thing any character has done in the series, arguably. If Kid is supposed to be about first mate level, that's still extremely, extremely impressive, right? Still one of the most impressive things a character has done in the series. It's just hard to place where Kid is. Because if Kid's above first mate level, if we're supposed to believe he's close to Admiral level or something like now, then what Shanks just did is absurd, right? Stormfox says Shanks is stronger than Kaido. I would agree. I've been on that train for a bit. Oh, you guys want the poll? All right, let me do the poll. Hold on. Let me do the poll for what video. Let me just make sure. Give me a second. One second. I just want to answer super while I'm making the poll, so I don't fall too far behind on these. So you guys are going crazy. Guys, let's get the stream likes to 500. Holy shit, we're about to have 2K viewers in here. You guys really like this chapter, huh? I like this chapter too. This chapter was nuts. I couldn't believe the spoilers when they were coming up. I literally could not believe the spoilers when they're coming up. Joe says Shanks is a swordsman. He always uses a sword. Cope Sanji fans. Okay. He is a swordsman, obviously. The question has always been, it's kind of like Fujitora as a swordsman, right? The question has always been, it doesn't even matter. Obviously, Shanks doesn't have a devil fruit. The question, I'm not going to get into Shanks versus Mihawk in this stream. I promised myself that, all right? Next video. Extreme Kid slander or Roger, Shanks, Luffy, Haki, and Haki. See, I don't even know how to phrase this. Haki continuation. Haki evolution. I think that might be it. Peace. Okay. Kid, Roger, Shanks, Luffy. Kid slander, Roger, Shanks, Luffy. And now, Haki. I think I didn't give enough information about the Roger, Shanks, Luffy ones. Maybe it's a hard one to compare. Metroid 9! Thanks for joining the Yonko, man. I appreciate it. Sorry. Okay. Please let me know if I miss any memberships. I don't think I have so far, but the stream is taking off quite a bit right now. I mean, it makes sense. This chapter was something. Okay, so it's tight. This one's really tight. The thing is, you're gonna get both of them. The question is, which do you guys want first? Question is, which do you guys want first? Right now it's 53-47. I'll give it a couple. I'll give it a minute or something. All right, where'd I leave off? Goddamn. Okay. Paul Burton says Divine Departure is interesting if he was a Celestial Dragon. Yeah, but I don't think Roger was a Celestial Dragon. I mean, Divine Departure, you're saying it's more interesting for Shanks if he was a Celestial Dragon. Again, anybody who's new here, if you want that poster in the back, just click the pinned comment and you can get it for yourself. It is a fairly large poster, museum grade quality paper, matte finish. It is very nice. Michael says to Zoro to be the best swordsman, for Zoro to be the best swordsman, he has to defeat Shanks. This is the territory that I don't want to wander into. We're not going there. Zoro's never fighting Shanks, in my opinion. Cigar Verk says respect for Odin. Skyrocket. Feeling bad for Kid, to be honest. Yeah, dude, Odin is strong. That basically confirms that, in my opinion, Odin is stronger right now, which I thought in the first place. Odin, at the time that he ran into Roger, was stronger right now than Kid when he ran into Shanks, right? I see people nowadays even arguing, it's come up at this point, some people believe that Shanks is stronger than Prime Roger. I'm not going to go that far, but I'll say this. Earlier in the story, how strong Shanks is has always been it's been an enigma and it's been hard to tell. I think it's just been creeping up bit by bit over time, right? It's just been creeping up bit by bit. I remember there was a time most people thought that Shanks might be the weakest of the four Yonko because he was the newest and everything like that. Then it shifted to, okay, he might be even as strong as Kaido or something like that. Now many people believe he's stronger than Kaido, and now many people even think he's stronger than Roger, which was unheard of at back in the day. John Ross says Kuzan is on Blackbeard's ship. This time he'll make the right choice and protect people from the world government rather than let another Ohara incident happen. I think Aokiji showing up here would be very interesting. Helps that Smoker is also in the vicinity. A Garp plotline is also brewing. But the thing is, I would love for Aokiji to run into Garp at Hachinuso. I think that's much more interesting to me. Shawneeson says, thanks for the upgrade. For sure, man. I can make clips of the stream live. Neat. Wait, what? Give this to the helpful mods and sparingly. Lots of power. Don't want to revolt. I agree. Wait, what is the clips of the stream? Okay, I know that's a thing. I gotta look into that later. Okay, American says, Kid now has a reason to participate in a Davy backfight now that his podoglyphs at crew are god. A second chance at being a pirate, baby. He has to participate in a Davy backfight just to be allowed to be a pirate again. I mean, maybe. Uchek says, what if next chapter Shanks has his crew fish Kid and company's body out of the water and they become a cover story? Oh my god, that'd be embarrassing. I mean, look, as far as whatever happens to Kid, right? Before I said we can assume that his crew isn't just eliminated, that was incorrect. But we can assume that he is not just going to die. Oda couldn't kill anybody in Wano of note. There's no way he's killing Kid. I just don't think that's possible, right? MPA, if like, Shanks is one of the only characters in One Piece that has actually killed characters. Kaido killed nobody. Shanks kills Kid. That would be insane. I don't think that happens, though. MPA Slick, thanks for the 10. Mr. Morj Freeman, I like that one. Do you think it would have been better if Oda killed off Kid back in his first fight against Shanks or even Kaido? Because honestly, he's trash as fuck. What did he actually do to benefit in Wano? So the poll ended and it's 55-45 for Kid slander. That's good to know. Along those lines, I would say that I have something to say about that. I don't think it would be better if... I think it would have been great if Kid was supposed to die at some point. I think it would have been great to do it in Wano to add some tension to the arc. That's what I'll say. Because that's the only thing Kid really contributed Wano-wise, you know? I mean, he beat Big Mom, but that's a plot contribution, right? That could have been written many different ways. I'm saying story-wise, right? If Kid had died in Wano, if Kaido had killed Kid in Wano, technically Luffy's top rival, that would have been amazing for tension, right? I wouldn't have been begging for the raid to fail so much if something like that happened. Stride48 says, do you think Law getting so deeply involved in the story is why Kid got the short end of the stick, like Oda had nothing for him anymore? Law getting so deeply involved in the story is why Kid got the short end. I don't think so. So in the Kid draft video that I wrote up, there was supposed to be a whole section talking about me speculating about why Kid's importance and his writing may have been undercut over the course of the story. Because we have to remember Oda claims that he never even had Kid and the Supernovas in mind. I don't know how much of that is true because Oda kind of bullshits. I think it's possible that he wrote Kid and Law and such in earlier than he was supposed to because his editors pushed him to, but it's entirely possible that Maybe he was forced to make them up because of his editors. Maybe they were supposed to be in the story, but they came in earlier. Maybe there was only supposed to be one rival kid, and then he came up with the other supernovas. It's hard to interpret that quote. But I was going to include in this video speculation as to why maybe Kid's importance has been undercut, but I decided that it's just a little too speculative, so it's going in the unfiltered Morj Extended Thoughts podcast, which you can get if you join as a member, a Yonko tier member, or if you join Patreon as a $5 tier member. Mingo says, did you fully scrap that Wano video? No. I think the Wano video is one that I want to make more and more now. So honestly, where I'm at is basically the Berserk video is in process for Manga Morj. I'm going to knock out one more video for that channel to kind of have a bit of a backlog, and then try and knock out the Wano video in between and finish it up. Sirens, thanks for the 10. With Kid losing, what do you think the odds are of Law losing and giving his poneglyphs to Blackbeard? I definitely think the odds of Law losing are very, very high. I mean, I think Law beating Blackbeard here right now would be crazy. Add stakes if the 3 Yonko are racing to Laugh-Tale, and if Shanks, Blackbeard crush Law and Kid's dreams. Yeah, I think that'd be really, really good. I do think that's going to happen. I just don't think Law's going to die, necessarily. Disaster Master says, Kid isn't a rival. He thought he was. Kid is a study on how letting ego and hubris get in the way of your dreams is fatal. Writing is consistent, too. I think that I would be able to get behind that concept of Kid if we had gotten more out of his character. It's just that the framing of the narrative around Kid has always been Oda trying to play up, hey, Kid's like a legit rival, like look how he's interacting with Luffy and everything like that, right? And look, I'm giving him the same bounty, and he had a higher bounty than Luffy earlier and everything like that, and he definitely plays up and just the framing, putting Kid along with Law and Luffy in these action poses, and having Kid be up there on the rooftop and everything like that, and having Kid have Conqueror's Haki, right? So the narrative is pushing the idea that we are supposed to look at Kid as a rival, right? But then everything continues to go south for him. Now, you could say that the writing, the subtext there should be about how this is a lesson on ego and hubris, etc., but we never actually get that writing out of Kid because we've never really gotten an in-depth sort of character study of Kid, right? We kind of have to headcanon in meaning to why Kid is the way he is, or what Kid's purpose is in the story, and what the theme is, what's the lesson being taught here, stuff like that, because we really don't get much writing at all around him, right? It's literally just this brash dude that runs around. The narrative keeps pushing the idea that he's a rival to Luffy, then he keeps getting fucked up and stuff like that, so we can make up our own interpretation that, okay, Oda's trying to say that ego and hubris is a shortcoming, but the themes of Wano really weren't about anything like that, right? The themes of, I don't think thematically there's been nothing done with Kid's character, right? You need the actual writing or the dialogue or something like that to go with the character to draw purpose or meaning. Otherwise, you're kind of just trying to force in some lesson yourself, basically to contextualize or give some purpose to random ass writing. You get what I'm saying? So if there is a lesson to be had for Kid in that sense, it needed to have been written into the story in some way, right? Red Ryujin says, thanks for the 10. I think it would take Drunk Kaido at least to one-shot Kid that way. Even Amp Big Mom couldn't one-shot Kid while she was portrayed as relative to Hybrid Kaido without the Amp. Yeah, I think it's interesting that Big Mom used Elbaf Cannon. We got to see her use Elbaf Cannon straight up against Punk Rotten. And there was a panel of Kid getting wrecked by that. And, he's not knocked out by that. And the way I look at it, Elbaf Cannon, we kind of saw the equivalent, right? Elbaf Cannon, Thunder Bagua, those two were the attacks that are kind of Kaido and Big Mom's signature straightforward moves, right? So they're the equivalent of Shanks' Divine Departure. Now, the difference is that Kaido and Big Mom both have Devil Fruit stuff to amplify their fighting abilities, right? So it's not just about their Haki and physical strength, but it's clear that just in terms of straight up a Haki attack, right? Or a physical strength attack, like their straightforward move, Shanks is stronger, right? As for whether it would take a Drunk Kaido and everything, I'm going to be honest, the Drunk Kaido amp stuff, I get that people it never felt like a huge power-up to me over the course of the fight. It felt more of along lines of, okay, Luffy and Kaido are being portrayed evenly, then Kaido's getting drunker and he's pushing Luffy back. So it's clearly he's clearly doing better than before, but it's not a true power up in the sense that, the way that Luffy goes from gear 4th to gear 5th or something like that. Like, he's not unlocking a whole new host of abilities. Drunk Kaido's just a little wilder and pushes a bit harder, right? I don't know how much it changes the strength of a Thunder Bagua or something like that, right? Blue says, Morj, get a computer wallpaper meant for an adult. I don't really care about stuff like that. For me, what do you call? For me, it's I don't care about. Who cares? It's the computer background. Like, people have heard my phone ringtones and stuff go off on stream sometimes, and people are like, Morj, why do you have the default thing or stuff like that? People have asked me that in general. It's just like, why would you care? Like, this is just why do people are weird? People feel the need to customize so many things that are just, they don't need to be customized at all, It's just like, what do you get out of doing this? The meme is supposed to be read left to right. Didn't I read it left to right? Zaibatsu says, I read the left part first. I love the replica of Roger's attack. He must have taught Shanks a lot. This chapter makes Kaido's inclusion of him as one of the... Oh, you're saying like that. Not a column and then the other column. I thought you meant read the left column and the right column. Well, I thought it was funny anyway. So, I don't know. I think it works. Zaibatsu says, I love the replica of Roger's attack. He must have taught Shanks a lot. The thing is, Shanks was too young to be learning Divine Departure at that age, right? Like, young Shanks back then, he used to get into fights with Buggy. That was his level around then. So, in my opinion, I think this was just stuff that Shanks observed and picked up on from watching Roger and was then able to replicate himself as he got older. He must have taught Shanks a lot. This chapter makes Kaido's inclusion of him as one of the only ones who can 1v1 him more powerful as well. Yeah, it really adds a lot of meaning to Shanks being in Kaido's top 5, right? Captain Face says, hey man, Morj mister. I can't wait to see Kid as the new Gecko Moria, and the epilogue being fat, lazy, and floating on a metal chair everywhere would make for an alright villain for Buffy in Two Piece. I've seen some people talking about that, like Kid at this point is just going to be, one of those leftover failed pirates and stuff like that. We'll wait and see. I think there could still be something more to him, but I'm not betting anything on it. Sun says, Marco, King, Law, Roof, Zoro, greater than the Kid. Is the scaling now? Yeah, I got everyone above Kid at this point. King would definitely fuck up Kid, right? I think there's no question about that, because, at this point, we've learned multiple things, right? We've learned that Lunarians are extraordinarily hard to damage, right? Luffy himself could not damage Lunarians using Gear 4th and everything like that. Kid's not putting out attacks that are better than that, The railgun's a joke, right? The Lunarian, I think to really put into context how tough Lunarians are, think about this. The same attacks that Luffy was doing against... The only thing, as far as we know, that Luffy is not doing against the Lunarians is Advanced Conqueror's Haki, right? That's the only thing, as far as we know. Same with Zoro. He's not using Advanced Conqueror's Haki, right? Zoro and Luffy could both damage Kaido before they unlocked Advanced Conqueror's Haki. They could both damage Kaido. So think about that. You got Kaido and Big Mom's durability. Lunarians is basically canonically above Kaido and Big Mom's durability. So if the railgun couldn't even deal, real damage to Big Mom, even Kid's railgun is not doing anything to King. And honestly, in that sense, it's not going to do shit to Marco either. What is Kid going to do to Marco? What could Kid possibly do to Marco? Right? There's nothing there. Crucky Crucker says, Morj, the video title's bad, but it's just directing Kaido character and thematics. I realize why the raid failing doesn't matter. First of all, the raid failing... Okay, so raid failing is not about themes, although a large part of it is about themes, but it is about general narrative structure. You just need a midpoint to the story. That's not a debatable thing. You need a midpoint to the story, right? Where you want to get into arguments is basically, well, you could say that a midpoint maybe happened at this point or something like that. I think the fact that people are very split on what you would even argue is a low point of the arc. Some people even say, well, it's Luffy dying. That's not a fucking midpoint. That's just the climax of the story where there's supposed to be some tension. The raid failing is, it's about narrative structure. It's about narrative structure and how you construct a narrative with drama. If you don't have a midpoint to the arc, if you don't have a low point, if you don't have a point where all the main characters need to get back up from, learn from, grow from, etc., then you don't really have a story. You basically just have a victory sequence for the main characters. It starts from Hyogoro basically at the very beginning saying, I can't imagine us losing here. If you have a character say that, the characters have to fucking lose, otherwise you're not writing a real story, you're just writing a victory sequence. Imagine 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 the fucking Lord of the Rings, imagine Star Wars, imagine any of the things, like any movie, any story, anything, right? Any major manga arc, whatever the fuck you want to think of. Imagine characters just being like, we're gonna win, and then they win. That's not a story. You need a midpoint to every story. That's the crux of a narrative, right? So you can't, it's not the way storytelling works where it's like, well, I can think of an excuse thematically why this would make sense. There are different categories of things, right? Themes, character writing, plot structure, narrative arc, etc., right? You can't say, well, I like this theme, therefore nothing else matters, basically, and it excuses everything else, because that's just not how writing works. I will maybe check out his video, but whatever. I realized what read feeling. Okay, also Kuzan on ship. Maybe Kuzan's on ship. I think somebody was saying Shiryu's on ship. Who knows who's on the ship at this point? Oh my god. Hold on. There's a lot of shit. Do I have to put chat in slow mode? How does slow mode work? Piyush Patel says Wano had 20 years of losing. That's not how it works. That's prior to the story arc starting, right? The story arc is an arc carried out by the protagonist of the fucking series, the Straw Hat Pirates. If they're the ones carrying out the victory and it's their journey basically from start to finish to them defeating the Beast Pirates, that's the story arc that we're talking about, right? It doesn't matter if the island that they get to has been amazing for the past 20 years, like Dressrosa, or in shambles for the last 20 years, like Arlong Park, right? That's not what the arc, that's not how a narrative structure works, right? The story actually begins once the characters get there. Everything else is just previous context. You need the story to develop with a natural arc flow, right? Anyway. It's on slow mode. B-Dog says a character declaring victory and then actually winning doesn't make it bad writing. No, but a character saying that victory is basically guaranteed and then winning means that there's no tension, which most would say is bad writing, right? There's no such thing as objectively bad writing, but by the standards of, I suppose, like any normal literary, critique, that it would be considered bad writing. It wouldn't be considered storytelling, basically. All right. We're trying not to get off track here. We're trying not to get into raid feeling stuff here. That's better saved for another video, correct? Let's get the stream likes to 700. Let me catch up on these supers. Okay. This is a lot, man. Let me know if I've missed any members, because members are the ones I can't find in the super stuff. Okay. Jolly G Joestar says there'll be 1,000 kid slander videos. That's true, but I don't mind being part of them. Titanium Dragon says, will not take kids seriously after this. Also, I'm not saying anyone is stronger than anyone unless we get a real fight that ends in KO or death, zero tricks. Okay, fair enough. Haritz Andika Nugroho says, do you think Blackbeard's crew goes to Egghead to kidnap Bonnie? They need to grow Pudding's third eye after all. I would assume that the Seraph is... Okay, the thing is that they had their hands on Bonnie at the end of pre-time skip. I think it would be kind of circular to just get back to them getting Bonnie again. The way it sounded there, it didn't sound as though they wanted Bonnie for her abilities, but rather just because Blackbeard's horny. So I don't know. It's tricky if Blackbeard suddenly realized the value of Bonnie, maybe as pertains to Pudding, but that's a good possibility. Interestingly, if Bonnie aged up Pudding, then she could hit legal consent age to be with Sanji, which would also be a nice plus. I know that age of consent works differently in different countries and stuff like that, but still, Oda's pushing it with what? She's 16? Even in his country, isn't that pushing it? Marvin Mash says, I think Oda used this chapter to show the difference between Yonko level Blackbeard, Shanks, and almost Yonko, Law, and Lid, assuming Blackbeard's on the ship at Egghead. The thing is that almost, I personally don't put, I put Blackbeard at, everyone's scaling is a little different, right? It's how you interpret the story. I don't put Blackbeard at the Shanks Kaido level just yet, personally. I think we need more evidence of that, right? Because Blackbeard's biggest 1v1 win, as far as we know, is against Marco, and that's what gave him the title of Yonko. So the only thing we really know is that Blackbeard is above Marco at this point in the story, right? Shanks, Kaido, Big Mom, these are all characters, like even old school Whitebeard, these are all characters that clash with each other, split the sky with each other, have feats against admirals, things like that. There's a lot more to work with there, so Blackbeard I don't count. As for saying that Kid was almost Yonko level before this, I have a hard time believing that because, again, like, even, we use Marco as an example, I wouldn't even say Marco's almost Yonko level. He's first mate level as far as we know, by most accepted standards, first mate level. And Big Mom couldn't put down Marco as easily as Shanks put down Kid. You know what I'm saying? Even if you think Shanks is stronger than Big Mom, is the gap that much? Like, I'm just questioning how strong Kid was all along at this point. Because there are multiple characters that I don't think can be put down as easily as Shanks just put down Kid. I don't think being a Yonko means that you would put down someone like, either Shanks is significantly stronger than we thought, or Kid is not quite as strong as we thought, right? I think a lot of us had him at almost Admiral level, above first mates. I don't believe that anymore. At this point, I'm like, I bet Ben Beckman would beat Kid. Not as easily, but, you know, before I would be torn. Cedric says, if Kid actually gets an arc where he improves and gets a comeback, would this work narratively, or would it annoy people? What is the best path forward? So that's going into the video that I'm doing, the next video that I suppose is coming out next Tuesday, because you guys voted for the Kid video over the Shanks stuff. Shanks stuff will come out the next week. But I think while there is potential for that, I personally feel there's a major roadblock to it, even if Oda pulls it off well, which will be discussed in that video. Peanut says, Morj, I'm dominating this Mario Kart lobby, 100% skill. All right. Good to know. Leo Rector says, yo, Sir Morj, not a power scale, but what do you think of the duality between Mihawk and Shanks' efforts? Interesting since Mihawk never goes all out, even at Marineford. Dude, I just think that with Mihawk, it's, there's I know Mihawk is really strong. I know that Mihawk could do to Kid whatever the fuck Shanks just did to Kid, right? Obviously, right? Whatever sword move Shanks did, Mihawk should be able to do the same level of damage, right? If not more, right? It's a sword attack. Shanks shouldn't have the strongest sword attack in the world. Mihawk should have the strongest sword attack in the world. That being said, to me, I'm just a little, there's a difference in my head between, like, not trying versus Mihawk's feats in Marineford are just inexplicable. You know what I mean? It's just, it doesn't make any sense at all. Because there's a difference between not trying versus it's literally, if you're as strong as Mihawk is, it should be almost impossible to not crush a Vista or a Jozu or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, look at what Shanks just did to, like, I mean, we've seen it over and over again. We saw Kaido one-shot Gear 4th Luffy, who is stronger probably than Vista was or Gear 4th was, right? Kaido wasn't serious. That was effortless for him, right? If we think Mihawk is as strong, if he's on that level, it just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make any sense because it should be even if he's not trying at all, Vista should be a one-shot. It should be almost difficult for Mihawk to not instantly defeat Vista. You get what I'm saying? It's like, you see what Zoro did to Kaku? Right? The gap between Mihawk and Vista should be even greater than that. And Zoro wasn't trying against Kaku. It just doesn't make any sense. It was a fucking pre-time skip Crocodile tried to walk up on Mihawk. It should be Mihawk breathes in his gen. It just doesn't make any sense, right? Especially with the way other Yonko level characters are treated in the story. So I don't get it. Mihawk, maybe he's walking around with some sort of a fucking Haki seal on him or something like that. It just doesn't make any sense. To the point that Vista was... I'm kidding, by the way. That's not... I'm not trying to headcanon anything. But, like, it was to the point that Vista literally said, we both have a point in our favor. It's like, both have a point in your favor? Even if Mihawk's not trying at all, that would be wildly embarrassing. There's just... How much... It should be physically difficult to hold back that much, right? It would be like... I don't know, like me trying not to knock over a pile of popsicles or something like that, or like a bunch of dominoes or something, right? It just doesn't make any sense. John Ross says York tries to ransom CP members, and Vegapunk Saturn says they're a necessary sacrifice. Cypherpole sees how disposable they are and defect from the world government. I don't know if it matters that much. Okay, so you're saying Lucci and Kaku maybe are defecting from the world government, right? Because I'm like the random Cypherpole members. Who gives a shit about them? That would be interesting. Montag451, thank you for the 20. This almost reminds me of Ace fighting Whitebeard. Maybe Kid will realize he can't compete. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, if people want to put... I'm not saying that Mihawk's not on that level. It's just really bizarre. Because Whitebeard could literally beat Ace in his sleep. In his sleep, he could beat Ace, right? Obviously, by the end, if you go by the Ace novel, which I like, Ace was right up there. But we're talking about Vista, right? It's like, shouldn't Mihawk just be able to breathe and Ace is done? Or Vista is done? Maybe Kid will realize he can't compete with the top fighters, and Shanks will take him under his wing. Interesting, because he was looking at the intel of him from being from the South Blue too. That would be really interesting. You got the red hair Kid joining the red haired Shanks pirates. It's just so late in the story that it feels odd, you know? Jake Jones says, useless Captain Mid, rest in peace. Giu says, hey Mr. Morj, where do you rank End of Story Zoro and Sanji? I think that's very difficult. In my humble opinion, I think End of Story Zoro would be Yonko level, because I believe that Mihawk is Yonko level, right? Whatever you want to call Yonko level, but in that same tier of pirates as, you know, Shanks, Kaido, Big Mom are, right? I believe Zoro's somewhere in that tier, and then it's up to you to determine where you think he's in that tier. I think Sanji, End of Story, here's where it's tricky. I think Sanji, End of Story, in my opinion, I think he's strong enough to beat an Admiral. If you believe that puts him in Yonko tier or not, that is up to your interpretation and how close you think Sanji is supposed to be with Zoro by the end of the story. Stephen Bracano says, to me, when writing Kid and Law, Oda thought they'd be taken out by Shanks and Blackbeard to prop up their power, explaining why Oda pushed them to as equal to Luffy post Wano. But we all know that they're not equal to Luffy. But it was very, very blatant, right? Luffy's fighting Kaido 1v1. Kaido's stronger than Big Mom. Kid and Law are struggling to beat Big Mom, tag team together, and have to resort to explosives and random shit just to get there, right? You can say Kaido is injured against Luffy and everything, but the portrayal is much different in that they are supposed to be going blow for blow. We never felt like Law and Kid are going blow for Big Mom. It was kind of a my turn, your turn. Okay, she's distracted by you, I'll get a hit in. Okay, she's distracted by me, you get a hit in. Okay, we're fucked. Some bombs went off. All right, thank God, we're safe. Good thing we fucking muted her cloud so that she has to fall and stuff like that. Environmental damage. It was just very different. Grizzly Adams says, if Kid had leveraged his defeat of Big Mom instead of going in guns blazing, he might have gotten the Giants on his side. That's so true, dude. That's such a great point. Do the Giants, are they not grateful for what Kid did? Do they not know? A fault in his personality. That's very, very true. I put this on Killer, though. That's not Kid's fault. Killer should have thought about that shit. Kid has no brain. Dragonfire says the parallel between Blackbeard Law and Shanks and Kid's fights hypes Shanks and further downplays Blackbeard, so it's more impactful when Blackbeard suddenly matches and overpowers Shanks. Yeah, I think the point is that Blackbeard is not supposed to be quite there yet, right? Shanks is still that guy. Blackbeard probably has one more last big step to take before he can take on Shanks, right? I think it's very possible that Luffy right now is stronger than Blackbeard. Unless Blackbeard is just holding back a third fruit and he already has it up his sleeve. I'd say from what we've seen so far, I think Luffy is stronger than Blackbeard from what we've seen so far. It might be tricky because it's a matchup issue because Blackbeard has the Yami Yami no Mi, right? Hawkeye Dragon says, did you know that Kid hasn't had a 1v1 fight yet? Yes, he did. He just did. And half his fights were off screen. He was introduced 550 chapters ago to BTW. That's hilarious, though. Outside of this fight, that is hilarious. Guys, let's get the stream likes to 800. Let's get it to 800. Andrew Anderson says that, I think that in order to prevent Blackbeard from stealing his fruit, Law performs the immortality surgery on Beppo. In order to prevent Blackbeard from stealing his fruit, Law performs the immortality surgery on Beppo? What the fuck? That'd be funny. It's an interesting possibility. I don't think it'll happen, but that's a funny possibility. Enma298 says, you've probably been asked already, lol, but how do you feel about Kid getting one-shotted and his crew destroyed? Sorry, it's just funny to me that, yeah, the stream's been going on for a bit. We have touched upon that topic of discussion. We have, I think that it is a really, really bold and unpredictable writing decision by Oda. I think many of us had Kid losing, but none of us had the Kid pirates really being permanently eliminated from the story. So the question is whether it is permanent or not permanent. For me, a lot of it comes down to, is this the end of Kid or is this not the end of Kid? If it's not the end of Kid, then I think that this is just a really positive event overall. It makes Shanks look really cool and menacing. Good potential for Kid as a character, I suppose, even if it's a little overplayed, his defeats and stuff. I'll elaborate more on that in the Tuesday video. If it is the end of Kid, then I think it's a hype moment, but just generally, Kid should never have been a character in the first place because he's so garbage and contributed nothing and just was an unnecessary additional bloat to the already extremely bloated arc that is Wano. The story is so much better overall in so many places if you just don't push this random narrative of Captain Kid throughout the story, right? GDN says, Roger taught Divine Departure to Shanks, but not Buggy. It's BS. Yeah, imagine Buggy with Divine Departure, how strong he'd be. Look, I don't think that Shanks was taught Divine Departure by Roger because, as far as we saw, I don't think Shanks was that strong as a kid. Again, he was tussling with Buggy as far as we saw, unless that was a gag fight, which it might have been. But I just never got the sense that Shanks was into advanced Conqueror's Haki when he was like 10 years old, you know? That'd be kind of crazy. I think it was more just Shanks seeing it and picking up on it and using it himself as an adult, really. Roxas Vanitas 1 says, glad to see Shanks actually fight instead of just flexing. Yeah, was that the first attack Shanks threw? No, that's not true. Shanks' first attack was against Whitebeard. Kid was destined to fail. Yep, not as strong as Luffy or as smart as Law, but just as ambitious. Yeah, just as ambitious as Luffy, that's for sure. Tall John says, post-Wano is making King and Queen look good. Yes, if Sanji is this hard to damage and Queen did it anyways, and if it takes advanced Conqueror's Haki to even damage King, yeah. I will give Law this. I think Law could beat King, despite my Law downplaying or whatever. I do think Law is a good matchup against King because I feel like internal organs, do we have any reason to believe that Law wouldn't be able to damage King via internal organs and stuff like that, right? Wouldn't that be doable for him? It's hard to say with the flame on what type of protection that really gives. Zaibatsu, thank you again. Is there any likelihood in your mind that the One Piece will come down to Shanks and Luffy and that Blackbeard will play a part after or before that? I mean, the chances, the possibility is always there, right? I didn't think that Kid would just get eliminated like this by Shanks. So who knows? Shanks obviously seems more formidable than Blackbeard right now, but ultimately I can't help but feel, you know, at this point, it's hard to spin the idea that Shanks is a bad guy. We've literally gotten, you know, the dialogue and monologue that he had this chapter, it seems honest. He's genuinely worried about his subordinates, right? He's a good guy. He's worried about his subordinates. He wants to protect his subordinates. He's not an evil character. So I just don't think it can come down to Luffy and Shanks. I think Luffy and Blackbeard as the final two pirates makes the most sense. But you never know. You never know. Nerve AMV Maker says, as Kid's life flashed before his eyes, his last thought was, where's Zoro to block when you need him? Yeah. Come on, Zoro's looking a lot better after this chapter, right? Like, nobody in the series is successfully completely blocking that Kaido and Big Mom attack. So the fact that Zoro held it off for a period of time, enough that everybody else was able to get out of the way, that is insanely impressive. Because Kid couldn't do that against a definitively weaker attack, right? I don't want to hear it. Divine Departure is not stronger than both Kaido and Big Mom's attacks combined, right? It's not stronger than both attacks combined. You can say it's stronger than either one individually. I would get behind that. But it's not stronger than both attacks combined. That was probably the most powerful attack we've ever seen in One Piece, right? It's just crazy to me how much people downplay Zoro's shit. It's just, if anybody else did that, people would be going apeshit over it and being like, holy shit, did you... Like, if you swapped in Mihawk, right? That's the thing. People see Zoro, and Zoro fans, it's partly because Zoro fans get so biased one way, right? That people go hard the other way to discredit it. It's just the product of being a divisive fan base, and, you know, that leads to divisive feats from a character. But let me just say this. If you had a scene where Kaido and Big Mom do the largest attack in One Piece history, and Mihawk jumps in and blocks it and holds it off for any period of time, people would have been like, holy shit, Mihawk is so strong, right? That's amazing. To block the strongest attack in the series for any period of time, damn. Like, Mihawk fucking top tier stuff. Obviously, no one could block it successfully because it's two Yonkos together. But if any character with a sword could block it, even temporarily, it's Mihawk. This just goes to show Mihawk is on the same level as them, yada, 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 right? If it had been Shanks, imagine Shanks jumps in and holds off the attack, even for a little bit, the same amount of time as Zoro did. People would be going crazy, right? Because it's a crazy impressive feat. Who the fuck can block that successfully? Nobody. To block it at all, even temporarily, insane, right? That's a top tier feat. Anybody else would be calling that. You'd swap in any other character, people would be like, that's a crazy impressive feat by Shanks. That's a crazy impressive feat by Mihawk. This is a top tier feat. If Luffy had done that, people would have been going nuts. But because Zoro did it, it's actually downplayed to hell. I don't know how you downplay that feat, because it's one of the most impressive things any character has ever done in One Piece, but people downplay it. And then they try and argue, oh, Law stabbed Blackbeard in the back because Blackbeard's a dumbass and gets hit by every fucking attack under the sun. Impressive. What? Get the fuck out of here. What the fuck? Sean Easton says, Anuj and AJK would be good contenders for the mod upgrade. They're more active in that than me as well. I'll make sure spoiler words are banned. Okay, I gotta do the mod upgrade. I'm gonna do this. The stream is going by very fast right now. I'll do mod upgrades. Remind me next stream. That's slower, I assume, because the mod upgrades are honest, like, things are flying by right now. I can barely keep up with things as is, but thanks for the reminder. And I agree. Dragonfire says, why did Oda even give Kid Conquers Haki? Only 3 confirmed Conquers Haki users haven't shown it. Boa, Kid, and Sengoku, who is revealed in a Vivre card, so he doesn't count. Because Kid might still have potential in the story, I assume. If he doesn't, then it's just symbolic to say, oh, look at Luffy's rival. Oh, see, he gets fucked up because he didn't, this is just what would happen if Luffy didn't train at Tsubodi or some shit, right? GDN says, if Kuzan is on the ship, we can get a reverse Ohara where he defends the island. Also interesting to see the convo between Kuzan and Saturn/Kizaru. I think it would be really good character stuff for Kuzan. I'm just biased because I really want to see Kuzan interact with Garp. That's the number one thing I want to see personally. That's the thing. I always say, like, if you're trying to evaluate feats by characters, you gotta swap it, like, swap in somebody else and see what you would be saying if it was that other character doing it. That's all I'll say. Although, I gotta be fair there myself, because if Zoro had cut Blackbeard like Law did, and Zoro clashed with Blackbeard's Gura Gura no Mi like Law did, I'd be making a big deal out of that too. I gotta be fair. Alright, so it goes both ways, I suppose. It goes both ways. But if Law had been the one to permanently scar... Okay, we're not going to play this game anymore. I don't like the game, even though I suggested it in the first place. We're not playing the game. Okay, hold on. Shit, I'm behind. Okay. Cigarverk says, Huguma did more damage to Shanks, and Pinzoro is fighting mountain bandits in East Blue. Pinzoro equal Kid in strength at that time, and EOS Pinzoro is Roger level. I agree. Dude, the Pinzoro thing, it's just such Naruto, Boruto type shit. I can't ever not find it funny. Why is his name Pinzoro? Joe D says, do you think the railgun explosion contributed to the one-shot? Or was it just drawn that way for effect and Kamasuri alone would one-shot? I think it was just drawn that way for effect and Kamasuri would one-shot. Max Moss says, damn, I can finally watch one of the chapter streams thanks to vacations. Greetings from Germany, keep up the good work. Oh, nice, you're from Germany. Oh, guys, let's get the stream likes to 1,000. That's crazy. Justin Holland says, Kid's defeat is similar to Luffy's back during the Ace Rescue arc. Yep. Do you see a comeback? I think it would be really cool if Oda did a comeback. I think there's potential for Kid as a character through that. I just don't believe anymore in that sort of thing, because time left in the story for Kid to have a good character arc come out after all of this, it would take up time, right? It would take up chapters and chapters, right? Would Strauss be more welcomed at Elbaf compared to Kid? I mean, somebody earlier pointed out that Kid should have been welcomed at Elbaf, or at least leveraged what he did against Big Mom to get a good welcome at Elbaf, but it didn't go that way. I think the Straw Hats will be welcomed more because they've got friends there, right? Dory, Broggy, Saul, Shanks, obviously. G4162 says, I hope we see the Marine/World Government equivalent of Emperor level power. Maybe Logia awakening, maybe Gorosei being insane, maybe Garp still being a beast, something. I mean, you've got Im, obviously, as a possibility. Im's always there as a possibility. I think one idea that I've warmed up to over time is the potential that Akainu might have awakened Advanced Conquerors Haki. I think that that's definitely possible. Virgil Hawkins, thank you. Missed my 6-month member message. I'm so sorry, dude. I'm so sorry, dude. Thank you for being a Yonko tier member for 6 months. There's a lot. The tricky thing is that member messages. God damn it. Member messages. They don't pop up in the supers thing, so it's harder for me to catch them if things are flying by. I'm really sorry about that. Thank you for being a Yonko tier member for 6 months. I've always appreciated your presence in the streams. Any Chainsaw Man predictions, plus what Primal Devils do you expect to see, plus Kid expectations, plus Chainsaw Man power system thoughts, plus mod, please. Are you not a mod? Or do you want to be a managing mod? I'll mod you since I missed your message. Shit. Where are you, though? Can't mod you through there. I'll talk about Chainsaw Man in the side. Chainsaw Man predictions. I'm loving what's going on with Chainsaw Man right now, so I don't have any particular predictions. I'm just enjoying the ride. I definitely think that what do you call? I definitely think that with Chainsaw Man, I think unpredictability is its greatest strength. Chainsaw Man is also, it's not like One Piece where it's been going. One Piece is always also very unpredictable as well, as the last couple chapters have shown us. Obviously, that's one of its greatest strengths, but because One Piece has been going on so long, and there's more time to pick up on patterns and Oda's writing preferences and things like that, and just recurring elements in the story. I mean, you know, this current moment was obviously very shocking, right? But even just based on the fact that it's clearly an explicit callback to the Sabaody moment, that has lots of people predicting that, hey, maybe this isn't the end of Kid, maybe he has a character arc after this and gets stronger, right? Whether or not that's true or not, I'm just saying that One Piece gives you more to work with. I think Chainsaw Man it's just such a young manga, and Fujimoto is more all over the place with his writing decisions in terms of plot twists and things like that, that I think it's harder to predict in general. And I like that, so I'm trying not to think too hard about Chainsaw Man predictions at the moment, right? The most I can say is I think the Death Devil is probably the final villain that was prophesied for 1999, but that's nothing crazy, right? A lot of people believe that. Primal Devils, they're hard to predict now. I think the Pain Devil is a good choice right now, obviously besides the Death Devil. Kid expectations, I like to believe this isn't the end, but I just don't know I don't know if I believe at this point. Chainsaw Man power system thoughts. I think Chainsaw Man's got a good if you want to talk about power scale, you can go back through part 1 and trace out kind of a power scale of like where Denji was at the beginning, where Denji is at super powered mode, and where Denji's at the end of the story and stuff like that. But I think it's too early to really talk about power scale for Chainsaw Man. The power system I think is really good. Like the recent Devil was a great idea. It makes sense as being one of the strongest. Daniel Chuckwoodham says 20th on trending streams. Holy shit! Can someone screenshot that for me? Is that true? Is that true? Is that crazy? Is that a thing? How do I see trending streams? I don't know how YouTube works. How do I see trending streams? Now I'm obsessed with this. How does YouTube work? Man, do I look up streams? I don't know how YouTube works. All right, I guess we move on. Henchme976 says, so much for the Kid counter swordsman theory. Kid countering swordsman it's just never worked out, has it? I mean, I think it's not a bad idea because it's like, dude, if you can't do anything else, can you at least be good against, against swordsmen or something like that, right? Like, can't you have a good matchup maybe or something? Like, it just doesn't make sense why you wouldn't at least be able to do that. But it is what it is. It is what it is. PK Ziggy says, bro said, only if I lose, wahaha, then got one shot LMAO. What is this nonsense? Dude, I forgot about that. I forgot that that was the cliffhanger we were left at, and then it literally happened. That's actually really funny. Candy is good. Gaming channel says a big example of a character saying they're going to win, but there's still tension is when Luffy was getting beat down by Cat holding the mirror. That's not the same thing. There's a difference between a sort of sense of determination, right? Because that happens all the time in One Piece, right? Like at any lobby, the start of it, there's always like win even if you die, right? Luffy and I think multiple ones of his fights, Katakuri's a great example. Luffy being like, I'm gonna win, right? But what is the tone of that moment? The tone is Luffy is getting absolutely wrecked, right? He's getting absolutely wrecked. He's getting beaten down. His face is bloody and everything like that. Everybody else is saying the odds are stacked against him, right? Jinbei's even thinking like, dude, I don't know if Luffy can win. Katakuri's a 1 billion berry bounty. The Straw Hats on the outside they nearly died from Big Mom and stuff like that, right? The tone is very, very heavy. In that moment, it's Luffy putting out a sense of determination and drive and saying, against all odds, I'm going to win. But the framing of the entire thing is that the odds are against him right now. Go back to the Hyogoro chapter, and it's the opposite. The Straw Hats and everyone, they're flooding in. The Beast Pirates and everyone, they're freaking out. They're like, what's going on? All of the samurai are victorious. They're happy. Everybody's smiling. Everybody's like overconfident. So it's where it's coming from, right? It's not just saying, I think we're going to win, right? There's a difference between that and Hyogoro saying, I can't imagine us losing. Do you understand that? I can't imagine us losing, right? So the easiest way I can draw a contrast is basically this, right? So if we go to, because I think some people might still not get it. Again, in the actual video, maybe I can provide some more, clear-cut examples of what I'm talking about here. But there's a chapter, and I think it's a pretty good chapter. I think 891, 892. Yeah. So look at this, right? Look at this. I promised myself I wouldn't get too wrapped up in this, but look at this, all right? So here's an example of writing a character believing in themselves but with tension, right? So the way the fight is going, Luffy's down, right? He's getting beat up. He's getting wrecked, right? She's laughing on the side. Everybody's laughing on the side. They're talking about how unbeatable Katakuri is, and the entire chapter is just Luffy getting wrecked over and over, bloody, beaten. And Katakuri's asking, why doesn't Luffy give up, right? Because the narrative, everything's showing that Luffy is outmatched. They can't win. The odds are against them. Yet why isn't Luffy giving up, right? Despite all of that, right? He's trying to get up, he gets knocked down. He tries to get up, he gets knocked down again. He's in pain. He's clearly outmatched, right? Katakuri's talking. He's like, you tried to do this, you couldn't. You tried to do that, you couldn't. You tried to do that, you couldn't. The result is you're a useless fool who feels nothing but frustration. That's what Luffy feels in this, right? He feels frustrated, right? He can't do anything. He's yelling, right? So why isn't he giving up? Why isn't he giving up, right? He's not giving up because his crew believes in him, right? They think I'll beat you and appear in the mirror because they believe in me. That is dramatic writing, right? That is dramatic writing. When all the odds are against the main character, when the main character is getting crushed, beaten, he's frustrated, he's helpless, he doesn't know what to do, but he's saying, I'm going to find a way because my crew believes in me. Do you know how wildly different it is? Tell me the chapter number for Hyogoro. Someone tell me the chapter number for Hyogoro. Let's pull that up. Because if you don't understand the difference between this and that, then there's nothing for me to say. There's no way to explain what tension in storytelling, what drama in storytelling means, right? Tell me the chapter for Hyogoro. Tell me the chapter for Hyogoro. I think it's probably, if I had to guess, 991 or something like that. Right? 989. Let's look at Hyogoro, right? Because it's possible you guys still may not understand. Everyone's happy. Everyone's in a good mood. It's the Beast Pirates. You Strats just keep popping up one after another. They're the one. The Strats are the ones who are, like, the Strats are fucking up their shit, right? They're fucking rolling Big Mom away in this chapter. This is the chapter Big Mom gets big meme. Do you guys remember this shit? They're laughing. They're happy. They're in such a good mood. It's docking time. It's a fucking joke. It's a fucking clown show. Where's Hyogoro's quote? But strangely enough, I can't imagine losing. And they're saying this as in the background what's happening. They're fucking docking. One of the numbers is going on in the background. It's just such a... Do you not understand? Do you not understand the drastic difference between this and this? It's the Straw Hat crew. It's just there's never a point in this narrative arc of Wano that it is ever in doubt. Among the Alliance and among the Straw Hat, there's never a sense of doubt that is established that they're basically guaranteed to win here. It was so drastic and so in contrast to every other major One Piece arc, be that Enies Lobby, be that Alabasta, be that Skypiea, be that Dressrosa, that it almost seemed unbelievable. At least to me, because I just had faith in Oda that there would be some significant tension and his usual sense of drama and stuff over the course of the arc. It never came. It was a different type of arc. That's fine. But, to say that it's the same thing, just because Luffy says, I'm believing in myself in one fight versus what Hyogoro says in that fight, is crazy. Alright. Back to this. Shit, how far back am I? Okay, hold on. Okay, fuck. The next question is about the raid failing. We're gonna keep this really short. Crucky Crucker says, wouldn't raid failing be forced since thematic opposites? So, you're not really providing me any extra context around that. I'm going to not discuss that at the moment. We're gonna leave that for a Wano video. I'll put that video out. You can compare and contrast between that and this Hot Spicy Boys video or whatever, and then come to your own conclusions as to themes, etc. Crow Stray God says, what do you think Luffy's reaction to Kid's death will be? Will this spark a battle between Straw Hats and the Red-Eared Pirates? I don't think Luffy cares that much about Kid that he's going to go to war with Shanks because Shanks fucked up Kid, right? Ray Uchiha says, thanks for the 10. Mihawk said he doesn't consider Shanks a worthy opponent anymore ever since he lost his arm. Yeah, I mean, I'm always of the opinion that if they had a sword duel today, Mihawk should win, right? Otherwise, the title of World's Strongest Swordsman is meaningless and Zoro's goal is meaningless, right? So, to me, it's Mihawk's asking, he's saying that you're beneath me in a sword duel. The argument is always, okay, what if Shanks can do things with Haki that have nothing to do with a sword, right? Where he doesn't use a sword, right? As far as we've seen, he uses a sword. We've only ever seen him swing in a sword twice in the story, right? 3 times if you count him blocking a Kainu. I say, okay, here's what I'll say about Mihawk and Shanks, right? Here's the thing. We just have to wait one arc. Just wait one arc. We thought we would get to see a full fight of Shanks with Kid and everything like that. We didn't, because he's too strong, right? If we wait one arc, it's Elbaf, right? Egghead's probably not going to be that long of an arc, I think. So if we wait one arc, just wait a little bit, probably by the end of the year, we get Elbaf. And in Elbaf, I assume we will get to see Shanks fight Luffy for real, right? So we will probably get to see a real, full-fledged fight with Shanks, right? And at the end of that, if all Shanks has done is use a sword, then Mihawk is stronger than him. Right? I think that's all we can say. Right? But I'm just going to hold judgment till then. Bassam, I think it's a moot point argument because it's one that we'll just find out soon, Bassam El Madawi says, I think the 1 month break Oda took helped him to see who he needs for the final saga and who he doesn't. I think the final saga is going to be pretty bloody, and this was the beginning. Ramadan Kareem. I don't think Kid's dead, so bloody's a tricky word to throw in there. But, yeah, I definitely think the final saga is going to be a lot more intense. And a lot more twists, a lot more surprises, characters dropping like flies, hopefully. Let's see what the future holds for Kid, if there is one. DFabulous says, Mihawk was not able to kill or knock out pre-time skip. He's the best swordsman because he can nerf himself to whatever level his opponent is at. Mihawk was able to not kill or knock out, I assume you're saying Zoro, pre-time skip. He's the best swordsman because he can nerf himself. That's true. I should say that that's true, right? That is very true. If Mihawk didn't kill Zoro, then clearly he can hold back his strength to an absurd degree. But I guess my question is just, why would he not just crush Jozu or Vista? Or Crocodile, right? It takes no effort at all. Literally at all, right? It wouldn't even be, he could probably do it without a named attack, because Jozu, Vista, etc., they're below the levels that, Act 1 Luffy was, that Kid is right now. I'm not trying to because we know Mihawk can beat them. It was just so bizarre, because if you're going back and read, you have to remember, I've been in this fandom for a long time, so I'm still trying to wrap my brain around why certain things were the way they were. At the time of Marineford, people really didn't have Mihawk that high after Mihawk's stock dropped during Marineford, just because out of all the hype characters that showed up there, he was the only one that didn't get anything, right? He cut a wave, but didn't do anything against anybody that mattered. And just the framing of it was weird, where it was like, okay, Marco's holding off Kizaru a little bit, Josu's holding off Aokiji a little bit, Vista is holding off Mihawk a little bit, and we all assume that, you know, these admirals and Mihawk, they can win these fights if they went all out, but it's just the framing of it where from our perspective, it's like, okay, but they can't do it easily. That was what it felt like. They can't do it easily, otherwise they just would, right? So it's not like Kizaru can just roll Marco over easily, right? Vista's even saying, oh, I got a point, you got a point, right? It doesn't help that, you know, the way people talked about Whitebeard and Shanks once he showed up, it was kind of like, okay, we just can't touch these guys are untouchable, they're just on a different level, right? Obviously the Admirals got hits in on Whitebeard and everything, but it was heavily emphasized that was because he was nowhere near his prime, right? It was implied that basically, if he's, you know, serious or going all out or whatever, he's just on another level than us, right? So that was why, because Mihawk is supposed to be in this category of Shanks, Whitebeard, right? But he was treated and framed just so much lower over the course of that war. He just didn't do anything, and it just doesn't make sense. In retrospect, it just doesn't make any sense why he didn't just walk over Josu or walk over Vista in half a panel, you know? Like the same thing he did to Das Bones, which was, oh, you're Das Bones. Dead. That's what makes sense for him doing to Vista or something, and it wouldn't require any effort. So it's just weird. It's like, you could say maybe he wants a good duel, but it's like, how would Vista give you a good duel? Vista's like the third best commander, probably fourth or something once you include Ace. Maybe fifth if you fucking include Thatch. Who knows how strong that guy was. Like, Vista is a few rungs down the ladder, isn't he? It would be like saying, like, well, maybe Mihawk wanted a good duel with Jack. Like, what? Why? What? Mr. Crescent says, again, I'm not trying to say Mihawk isn't that strong. It's just, it's the biggest, Mihawk in Marineford is one of the biggest outliers that just doesn't make sense. And I think that Mihawk for the longest time was still recovering from his reputation from Marineford, right? It's been years and decades, honestly, till we're at the point now where you have people are actually backed arguing Mihawk might be the strongest in the world, stuff like that, right? It was just so far from that in the distant past, as I remember. Mr. Crescent says, I'm so happy, thanks for the 10. I'm so happy that Oda isn't holding back with Shanks. Yeah, this chapter was just pure high octane. No other author could have a character live up to almost 30 years of build up and hype. Yeah, that's the crazy thing. Shanks is living up to the hype. Anybody who wants that poster of that man, right, the most hyped character in One Piece without question, anyone who wants a poster of that man, just click the pinned comment in the stream. Just click the pinned comment, you get that poster for yourself. Museum grade paper, matte finish, fairly big sized, all the works. Sunplus says, hey Morj, if Law and Kid had swapped Yonkos, would Shanks have fought Law? How do you think the interaction would go? I don't think Shanks would have fought Law, because Shanks only fought back because, I talked about this in my Shanks video at length, which was, Shanks fights back when other people push him to it. He has never really instigated a fight. And he specifically said he doesn't want to turn Elbaf into a war zone. It's because Kid showed up looking for a fight that Shanks answered it, right? You also have to take into account that Law would have been smart, and Law probably would have referenced the fact that the Giants hated Big Mom, and Law defeated Big Mom, right? I think that they could have had a very neutral interaction there. I think that the Giants would have been just as nice to Law as they were to Shanks. Mr. Crescent says, and Kid gets shit on in the process, R.I.P. Bozo. Yeah. Isaac Safe says, did Hachi and Arlong violate... Oh my god. Isaac Safe asked, did Hachi and Arlong violate Nami like Dofi did Viola? I don't think so, because, Why are you throwing Hachi in there? Holy shit. You threw Hachi in there like it's the same thing as Arlong? What the fuck, dude? You think Nami just forgave Hachi like that? He's like, I'm sorry, Nami, for everything I did. It's like, what? Frigid, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 4 months. Happy birthday, Morj. It is not my birthday, but I appreciate it. No, I don't think Hachi and Arlong did that, and I definitely don't think Hachi did that. DW Grow 13 says, don't underestimate Vista. I'd put him around Queen level. It doesn't matter, right? Even if you put him around Queen level, it should be Mihawk walks over him, right? He went toe-to-toe with Mihawk, and he and Marco held their own against Akainu. Yeah, my point is basically that, that him going toe-to-toe with Mihawk doesn't make sense, the same way I think Queen going toe-to-toe with Mihawk doesn't make sense, right? he and Marco did holding their own against Akainu. I think is an exaggeration. That might be more of an anime thing, but in the manga they did both force Akainu back with a combined attack, right, for a moment, but it also didn't damage Akainu. And then shortly after that, Akainu was taking on the entirety of the Whitebeard pirates. I'm not trying to knock Vista. I think he's probably, Vista's probably stronger than Jack, right? Maybe he's as strong as Queen like you think. But my point is basically, why would Mihawk ever spar with Queen? Or, Lord knows, ever let Queen say, we've got a point on each other, right? I got a point, you got a point. It's kind of like an even, up in the air sort of a battle, and we'll just leave it at that. What the fuck? Mihawk would decapitate Queen for some shit like that. G4162 says, looks like out of the Fabled 3, Garp, Shanks, or Dragon, the last to fight will be Dragon. His bounty is hidden too. Wonder if he's the strongest. Yeah, people have counted Dragon out. But Dragon is Luffy's father. And Dragon has, think about it like this. Shanks was the figure, the all-powerful, big good figure that was shown to us in Chapter 1. Dragon was the guy that was shown to us in Chapter 100. So if you look at East Blue as sort of the prologue of One Piece, right? The adventure starts once they hit the Grand Line. Chapter 1 of East Blue is Shanks. Chapter 100 is Dragon. And it's the same chapter that Garp explains who Shanks is. He's like, Shanks is one of the Yonko. That's the same chapter that Garp explains that Dragon is the head of the revolutionaries. There's this odd pairing that is kind of going with them having, feels like a similar-ish role, right? Shanks is almost a father figure to Luffy. Dragon is Luffy's father. And they're both being hidden as these really powerful forces of good still left in the world. Dragon has just been made to look worse and worse over time, partly because it turned out that his hyped up... Dude, the reveal of the revolutionaries being a ragtag bunch of... I don't know. Just a ragtag bunch with a bunch of weird characters who seem like they got a lot of pluck, but don't exactly seem like the toughest guys around. I think it took away a lot of the mythos around Dragon, and then Dragon's reactions recently have been very... I mean, look at Shanks. Shanks is unfazed by everything, seems in control of everything, seems to be wiser than anyone around. Dragon is just like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck's going on? I'm reading this in the newspaper, and Kuma's a pile of scrap in the backyard, and now Kuma's running around. He teleported somewhere. I don't know what happened. And Sabo apparently killed King Cobra. Oh my god, I'm so confused. It's just like, Jesus Christ, Dragon's not looking so good. However, if we look back earlier in the story, it does seem like Dragon was always framed to be very significant. And the fact that Dragon is being saved to fight last is a big deal, right? Because who's the last top tiers that we need to see fight? It's just Dragon and Im. That's pretty crazy to think about, right? It's entirely possible. I wouldn't put my money on it, but it's entirely possible. That's the thing. The possibility exists that Dragon is stronger than Shanks. That Dragon is stronger than any of the Yonko were. The possibility exists. It just really doesn't fucking look like it right now. I Can Drive says, do you think Kid will have a Haki Bloom since he relies on his fruit too much? I think that's the only thing. I mean, this would be a great setup for him to get a Haki Bloom. Basim Faruqi, welcome to the Yonko. Thank you for joining. This would be a great setup for him to get a Haki Bloom. Great setup. I just don't know if it's going to happen. I've been saying that a lot. It's so hard to predict at this point because who thought that the Kid parts are getting eliminated? Sauce Jin says, hey Morj, do you read spoilers? How does it affect your enjoyment if you do? Unrelated, how are you enjoying the first 2 chapters of JoJo Lands? I haven't read the second chapter yet. I think I am going to let it accumulate a bit and then read a few chapters of JoJo's. Spoilers, I don't read unless it's something that might invalidate a video that's about to come out. And I think that's pretty much never happened. I've checked to make sure. But it is like, if I drop a video and that's immediately invalidated by something that happens in the next chapter, I would have to go scrap the video, do something different, right? But in general, I don't read the spoilers, but I don't go out of my way to avoid them because it's just too much of a pain, right? Shouts to guys like Rogers Base and stuff like that who are very meticulous about it. They are reactors, so they have a bit more of a motivation to have to really stay out of spoilers' way. But shouts to them for just being, disciplined about it, staying off Twitter, at least muting any mentions of the new chapter and everything like that. I just don't got the time to if I get spoiled, I get spoiled. I don't go looking for it, but usually something, especially in recent weeks and months and stuff, something will pop up. So I'll usually know something about the chapter, right? I usually know something about the chapter before it comes out. And recently I've been reading OP scans just because there's no point not. It's just your whole thing gets flooded with it. I wait till TCB comes out to cover content on the chapter, but I'll read OP scans just to get it out of the way, basically. Or I'll skim it and then read TCB for real. K-Thumb says, narrator called out that the Kid pirates are done, not Kid. Won't be surprised if Kid would reform a new crew with the other underused Supernovas. That goes back to my old school theory. My old school theory about Kid forming a new Supernova crew, but I don't think that happens so easily, right? Because how would even get them? Ryu says, I personally believe that Luffy will mop the floor with Blackbeard when they fight. I know people are expecting a grand battle, but this might happen. I hope it doesn't happen. I don't think that's what's going to happen, but, maybe. Tala Jahan says, no one can convince me Kid can even perceive Sanji. I'm not going to lie, dude. These last few chapters, they've definitely made Zoro and Sanji look better, right? They've made Kid look worse. You could say by extension they made Law look worse, but I know people don't like hearing that, so I won't say that necessarily. But they've definitely made Kid look worse, made Zoro and Sanji look better. Sanji's fast. I just don't know. Kid has never had to fight a fast character as far as we've seen. Christian Baraza says, Kid's power sucks. How'd he even injure Kaido or Big Mom by smashing metal against their impervious skin? Big Mom didn't even see Mother Caramel break, lol. Kid never injured Kaido, which is insane because everyone, including his subordinate, injured Kaido. Kid never did. Big Mom, he only hurt her with the railgun, right? And we don't even know how much he hurt her with that. It's kind of vague. Jin Mori 255 says, conveniently leaving out Zoro broke all his bones doing that. Yeah, but I think we would give anyone a pass for that, right? Would we not? It's the strongest attack in the series. I think blocking that for any period of time, even if it was like the character's heavily injured after that, I think that would be accepted. Leo Rectus says, hey, Mr. Morj, who's better for Mihawk, Green Bull or Fujitora? To fight against? I would prefer Mihawk versus Fujitora, but I think it would be too friendly, because I just think it would be too friendly. Fujitora at a certain point might just be like, why are we fighting? Let's just have some sake together or something, or play some dice. And I think Mihawk might take him up on that. Green Bull, I just think that it wouldn't be impressive, right? Because we already saw Shanks scare away Green Bull. We know Green Bull's done shit, like take out King and Queen. Their level of health undetermined, but he took out King and Queen. We know he captured Weevil. But yeah, I think, and he took on all the scabbards, but I think Green Bull's it wouldn't feel impressive. Whereas I think people have a higher opinion of Fujitora. Plus sword versus sword. Green Bull's got a sword. It's complicated. I'd rather see versus Fujitora. Rodolfo says, what do you think about the idea that Luffy doesn't fight Blackbeard and instead fights him and Shanks defeats Blackbeard? I just don't see that, because then it's like, what's the point of Blackbeard in this whole story and his rivalry with Luffy? Ani, welcome to the Yonko. Thank you. Also, I don't see what the revolutionary aka Dragon does by the end of the story. I mean, I think that, if sad to say, but if Shanks' ultimate fate is to be defeated by Blackbeard before Luffy defeats Blackbeard, I think Dragon's ultimately likely going to be the guy that Im takes out before Luffy then takes out Im. I hope Dragon gets a good fight in against somebody else first to actually look good, but I do see Im probably defeating Dragon at the end of the day. It just makes sense, right? They would be the two at odds with each other. Im is the world government. Dragon's been trying to take down the world government and the Celestial Dragons for so long. Dragon loses. His son comes in and does what he couldn't. I think it makes sense. Cigarverk says, I heard you named one of your kids Pin Morj. Yeah, that makes sense. Wouldn't my name be Pin Morj and the kid's name would be Morj? Following Zoro logic. JWP, thank you. I don't know what that means. Hero says, to be fair, if Zoro would have clashed with Blackbeard, it would have been a better feat because you don't have a fruit. Yeah, that's true, but you gotta, when you're talking about how strong the character is, you have to include, like, the fruit as part of it, right? Tom Thompson has been throwing up all day, so stream is appreciated. I'm sorry to hear that, man. I don't know why that, I hope you're okay. Guys, let's get this, we got the stream likes to 1,000. Let's get the stream likes to 1,200. Let's get the stream likes to 1,200. Hawkeye Dragon says, do you know that Kid is based on William Captain Kidd? Yeah, I've heard this many times. Kid, that guy is the most unfortunate pirate in history. Wrench Dodger 2000 says, missed my message last week. Mod me immediately. God damn it. Wrench Dodger's been around as well for a long time. I need to see you in the actual comments. And I can mod you. Yeah, I got you. KLD Suleiman says, Kid without medal versus Kobe, who wins? Kid. Kobe hasn't shown anything, right? Because Kid without medal, he was carrying those cinder blocks like Luffy, and it was competitive, so I don't know. You gotta take that as you will. Crunky Crucker says, so is Elbaf next and we getting Kid main antagonist? I think Elbaf is next, but I imagine we would get Shanks as the main antagonist, right? Mr. Cabezablanca says, I am the 1000th like. What is my prize? Crapped in mid and filler. Sorry, I don't know why I found that so funny. Crapped in mid and filler will return. Your prize is that laugh and acknowledgement from me, I suppose. I thought that was really funny. I think I saw filler on Twitter before, but the combination of crapped in mid and filler will return, you make him sound like Team Rocket. Yeah. Apple Killer 2308 says, it's crazy how Kid was considered to take one of the Yonko spots after Wano, like in one of your old videos. Oh god, it's embarrassing. I'll say this. There are certain things I'll never be embarrassed about, right? I'll never be embarrassed about the raid failing. No matter how much people shit on me for that. But I stand by, I think that would have been really good, right? Kid, and everything positive I ever said about Kid, I'm embarrassed about. Not because I believed it, because a lot of people did think that Kid is supposed to be significant in the story, but it's just in retrospect, I'm just like, this fucking character, just like, it's just too embarrassing to even think that I bought into his nonsense for a moment. Mark Zachnown, thanks for being a member, a Yonko team member for 6 months. So exciting that since Wano, we've seen everyone from Weevil to Shanks to Cross Guild, and it's the literal kickoff of the final saga. Yeah, I think I've done a couple videos early into Egghead talking about that, about how just so much shit can happen now. Like, we're talking about Mihawk so much this stream. Who's to say we don't see Cross Guild in a couple chapters? That'd be amazing. Dragonfire says, will this event cause issues between Shanks and Luffy later, since he sees Kid as a friend now? I don't see Luffy being okay with what happened to Kid. I don't think Luffy sees Kid as a friend in that, like, I think Luffy still sees Kid as a rival at the end of the day, right? There's friends that Luffy puts in the category of, you're my friend, so I protect you no matter what. You know, I look out for you. Like a Momonosuke, right? If Shanks had fucking fucked up Momonosuke like that, I think Luffy would have something to say. Kid, Luffy views as a rival and an ally, but I don't think to the extent that Luffy views Law as a friend, right? Like, Law sailed with his crew for a long time. And, Luffy was never officially, this is an important thing to remember, as far as I remember, Luffy was never officially in an alliance with Kid, right? They just happened to fight together on the same side, but it's not like with Law where they're like, we're on the same team now, let's shake hands, right? And Luffy even said, sure, pirate alliances, they're like being friends, right? And Law was like, no, but secretly, Law was like, yes, because they became friends. So I don't know, I think Luffy considers Kid probably a friend, but a rival more than a friend, and Luffy knows that Kid is a pirate who's on his own journey, the same way he is, right? Little Dragon 21 says, Shanks is inverse of Buggy. Shanks' fleet is bounty and reputation inflated by Shanks' strength. Buggy's reputation and bounty is inflated by his fleets. That is such a great point. That's actually my favorite point that's been made so far this stream. Everyone shout outs to Little Dragon 21. That is actually a great contrast that you just pointed out. Shanks is the inverse of Buggy. Shanks' fleet and bounty. Yeah, Shanks is very strong, but his fleet is very weak. So he protects them and he helps inflate their reputation. Buggy is very weak, but his fleet is very strong, and they inflate his reputation. That is actually so cool. I love that. Great point, man. Flame Emperor says, worst part about Kid's L is that even his crew surrendered and begged for mercy. Even Nami didn't do that. Heck, even the Scabbards wouldn't do that. Even Nami didn't do that. Did Nami not do that? Oh, you're right. You're right. Even Nami didn't do that. I will say that it might be a little different. Look, I think it's a little different in that Nami didn't Nami didn't see Luffy defeated, right? So she was like, I don't believe you. Kaido came down and said Luffy's defeated or Luffy's dead. Nami was like, I don't believe you, right? She still has faith in Luffy. I think it's a little, we've yet to see a scenario where Luffy is just straight up wrecked, defeated, helpless, at the hands of the enemy. I do think Nami might beg that, and I don't think there's anything shameful about that. I mean, Luffy begged Kuma not to hurt his crew anymore past a certain point. I almost think that, I don't think there's anything shameful about that, honestly, at the end of the day, because I think it's more meaningful when a really prideful character when characters ultimately throw everything away, including their pride, just to beg for someone they care about to survive, I think that there is a good deal of meaning to that. And it's like, you know what? Come on now. Zoro begged Kuma not to kill Luffy, right? Just because he did it in a more manly way, right, a more respectable way, it was the same thing. Luffy was at Kuma's mercy. Zoro realized he could not do anything, and so Zoro said, please take my head instead. Kid's crew didn't do that, but at the end of the day, it's the same concept, right? You're gonna throw away some part of yourself and just say, please don't do this. I care about this person. Please don't do this, right? It comes across as more bitchly because it's coming from Kid's crew, and it's Kid's crew, and we haven't seen them do jack shit besides Killer, who's currently knocked out, right? But I don't think there's anything wrong with that, personally. Even the Scabbards wouldn't do that. I don't know, because the Scabbards, see, it's the other way around. With the Scabbards, I think it's more bitchly that they just sat there. They let their lord, right, their boss, boil in the pot, holding them up for an hour. Right? I mean, they're happy to just be carried by him. I don't know. I think it would have been better if they're willing to beg at some point and be like, Kaido, Orochi, please don't kill him. Instead of just being like, hey, Oden's gonna save us. We get a free ride out of here. All right. We got it. Imagine being a Scabbard. How embarrassing is that? You're supposed to protect your boss, right? That's your one job. Your boss goes out literally holding you up from the flames for an hour while he boils, and you just sit there for an hour just chilling. Like, isn't that embarrassing? Isn't that wildly embarrassing? What is this? Alex says, imagine spending 2 years fixated on revenge for your arm only for you to roll up and the guy gotta look up some documents to see who the fuck you even are. That's a good point. It's a good point. JWP says, it's crazy how much stronger Katakuri felt than Luffy in Whole Cake Island. Then a month later in World Time, some people have Sanji over Katakuri. Yeah, that's how One Piece goes, though. It's like, it's just how One Piece goes. It's just how One Piece goes. Sorry, I missed those. I caught up to those. I know. Chris Ahmed says, this is going to be a weird question, but narratively speaking, what should be the strength of Dragon if we are this late in the story? We legit have no sense of the strength of this major player. I do think that, like, if I had to place Dragon right now, it'd be, like, somewhere in the top 5 to 10, right? Somewhere, probably he should be, in my opinion, he should be somewhere in the top 5, right? Where he lies in that top 5, unknown. However, there has been this interesting trend in One Piece, in my opinion, where the characters that we are most focused on at the moment are the ones that are portrayed as the strongest. And then as we move on over time, we begin to realize that the characters that were being saved were in fact stronger, right? So it's kind of the shifting scale of hype in One Piece. Because if you recall, during Marineford, most everybody in the community had Whitebeard as the strongest, right? Even old Whitebeard. Most people still considered old Whitebeard to probably be the strongest in the story. That was, you might not remember this, but this was the general consensus. If you go back and look at old forums, old like Naruto forums posts and stuff like that, or old discussions, it was kind of just accepted that, yeah, old like Whitebeard is the strongest. He's not as strong as he was in his prime, but he's probably stronger than anyone in the current world because everyone was saying he's the strongest, right? And it helps that, Marineford ends with him hitting Akainu with that big punch, so Whitebeard looks really good. Blackbeard gets the fruit. Everybody's freaking out because Blackbeard now has the most powerful fruit. We didn't know enough about Haki and everything like that back then. So during Marineford, it was important that Whitebeard had all the hype on him. Then as the story moves on, the focus sort of shifts to Kaido and Big Mom. So we have this period of time in the story where the overwhelming majority believe that Kaido is probably the strongest, and he was kind of portrayed in the narrative as probably being the strongest, or at least holding that title. Now we're moving past him, and people have kind of moved on to be like, honestly, Kaido and Big Mom, they might have just been riding off a reputation a lot because Shanks has low-key probably been stronger than them. And we're talking about Shanks, we got to talk about Mihawk too, right? Maybe these are the real players. So now the focus is on how strong Shanks is, Mihawk is. I assume fairly soon Blackbeard is going to start looking extremely strong as well. So I feel like because Dragon and Im are being saved for last, it is very, very, very possible, even though it seems absurd to say right now, it seems very possible that just Dragon might be stronger than we've been giving him credit for, and Dragon may have been even stronger than the Yonko at the end of the day. I think it's possible. I think it's entirely possible that's not true either, and we're probably right with where we place him right now, which is lower than Shanks, lower than probably Kaido, lower than stuff like that, right? But I'm just saying it's been a pattern that I feel like has slowly emerged, which is that Oda is always going to hype up the current characters that are the focus of the current arcs and major events in One Piece first and foremost. And he's going to kind of leave everybody else that may be stronger than them vague, so that the reader feels very excited about what's going on right now, right? If you go back and look, like, you can look at top 30 lists and stuff like that from Brago's streams at the end of the year and everything. There was a good run of time where Kaido was overwhelmingly number one on most people's lists. That's not the case today. And by the end of the year, that'll definitely not be the case, right? These things change, and a lot of that change is just predicated on who Oda's focusing on the most at the moment. So just because Dragon's not getting much right now, just the fact that he is the last endgame significant hidden good guy figure, it could say a lot, you know? Where to, man? Thank you for the 22. A Kid is at least half a Yonko. A normal emperor can't just one-shot a character like Kid. We were just introduced to a new power ceiling this chapter. When Mihawk is reintroduced to the story, he will have a crazy feat like this. I hope so, man. I hope Mihawk gets something that lets us scale him, because he's not fought anybody. I don't know about half a Yonko and stuff. I don't really know how to place things in fractions like that, but, you know, we'll see. Machin Crow says, Mihawk stated he defeated every strong swordsman and that met Vista, and it was revealed he never even met him. He on Fraud Watch, I don't care. I don't know if Mihawk said he defeated every strong swordsman. I don't think he said that necessarily, but it is assumed he must have. Aw, shit. Remix King is here. He's asking, Morj, it is trivia time. Can you name the starters that Red, Gold, and Ruby received from their respective professors? No. Wait, I mean, yes. Okay, Red got... Fuck. Their respective... How many professors are there? Can you give your narrative ranking for the 3 characters with reason for your opinion? Okay, I got this. Easy. Wait, hold on. Red. No, this is talk about Pokemon Red. How do I talk about Pokemon the character? Didn't Red get... I read this already. In the book. Didn't he get a fucking Bulbasaur or some shit? Charm... I gotta follow up with... I gotta get back to you on that one, Remix Keep. My memory is failing me right now. My favorite professor was Gary Oak, though. He is a professor, right? Gary Oak, professor. Gary Oak, the professor. Who's that nurse? Pokemon nurse. Nurse Joy. And, who's the last major character? Ash's mom. Yeah, these are the 3. My favorite professors were Gary Oak. No, Professor Oak. Professor Oak. There we go. Professor Oak. I was like, Gary Oak seems really, really young. Professor Oak. Professor Oak. Nurse Joy. Ash's mom. Delia Ketchum. Those are my favorite Pokemon professors. They're the best. Zane Balak says, yet we don't question Shanks losing an arm to a Sea King after fighting Cypherpole for the Nika Nika. Yeah, I forgot about that shit. Double down in the flashback in chapter 1055. Listen, we don't talk about chapter 1. That's just different. Chunky YT says, assuming Shanks got serious no matter what, like he does at the end of the chapter, who has the toughest situation? Luffy, Law, or Kid? The toughest situation? Like, who would have the toughest time against him? Probably Kid. Because Law would he'd be smarter about it. He would teleport out of there. Right? He would teleport out of there. He would do something. Law would be hard to... No, you know what? Law would be fucked against Shanks too. Because Shanks has future sight, and his future sight seems really good. By the way, have we talked about... I don't think we've talked about this. This is actually a major development. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. In all of One Piece, have we ever seen an extensive future sight vision like this? With Luffy, it's so bizarre because we always just have to be told that he's using future sight. Same thing with Kaido. We were just told he's using future sight. Katakuri, we saw, I think, one vision. It was Pudding fainting at the wedding. But for the most part, Future Sight's been weird in that Oda doesn't really use it or show it in the story. We kind of just we find out after the fact, oh, it's Future Sight or something like that, right? This is one of those rare instances that we got a full-on fucking Future Sight scene, right? That's significant. Yeah, I think that so Law would be in a lot of trouble too, because Shanks as Future Sight, there's nowhere that Law could run, because Shanks would know wherever he goes, right? Shanks might be a hard counter to Law. I think Katakuri would be a very difficult fight for Law as well. This is why I think it's hard to scale Law, because he's so inept in so many actual fighting ways, but his Devil Fruit is so hacks and utility. So I think someone like Katakuri would be a terrible matchup for him, because Law would never get a sneak attack in on Katakuri. That's just not going to happen, right? And if Law can't get in his sneak attacks, then he's just a bum. But same applies against Shanks, right? So Shanks would be a terrible counter for... So I think Shanks would have a little the 2% more complicated situation against Law, because he would see a Future Sight, he would see Law teleporting away, and then he would have to catch where Law teleports to. That's basically it. But Law gets wrecked too. Luffy, it's a real fight. Luffy, it's a real fight, because it's Yonko versus Yonko. There should be in the same tier of strength, right? Even if you think that Shanks is stronger, which he probably is, they're in the same tier of strength. The fight would probably begin with them splitting the sky. Assuming, here's the thing, Luffy goes all out as well from the beginning, because that's the big caveat. Luffy's a slow starter too. James Delbrun says, what's next for Kid, assuming he's alive? I know Oda has a reputation for not killing off characters, but how do you think he survived and bounces back? How he survived, I don't know. Maybe his crew goes in and fishes him out. Maybe his crew goes in and fishes him out. As for how he bounces back, I think it would take some serious fucking character writing, right? He's in Elbaf, a land of warriors. Maybe they nurture him, or he learns something, or gets a Haki bloom or some shit like that, right? Umar Ale says 2.3k, let's go. Peak Fiction Shanks fans are eating. Holy shit, are we at that? Yeah, the stream is really, really going off right now. Let's get to 1,300 likes. Let's see if we can do that. That'd be crazy. Shine Ye Yin says, Kid is never my fave, but I don't know why it makes me sad to see if Oda wants to end his story with one chapter. Yeah, I think a lot of us are on the same boat. Abraham Ogbasles, thank you for the 10. Loved your punk records theory, but I think it would take away from Robin's journey. In my opinion, it's too important she learns the true history on her own, rather than just getting an info dump from Vegapunk. I don't think Vegapunk knows the true... I'd have to go back and read the chapters, but I don't think it's established that Vegapunk knows the true history, rather that he just... he knows a good deal of information, right? Because the true history, that should ultimately be what's on the poneglyph at... Yeah, the poneglyph at... what is it? What's the fucking Laugh-Tale, right? That's where the true history should be. But you're right. Maybe it's only after the Strats reach Laugh-Tale that it would be fair to release all the information from into the world or something, and that would be the climactic moment. JPress P says, do you think Zoro versus Mihawk will be Kuma 2.0, where everyone is down and Zoro has to defend the Strats from Hawk? I think that increases the stakes. I think it could work that way too, but it's just like, I don't think we can view... It's so hard to view Mihawk in a threatening light at this point, because Zoro and him, they hung out for 2 years. Mihawk trained him for 2 years, right? He's his mentor. We know Mihawk he's just not like that at the end of the day. Mihawk's a farmer at heart. We've seen cover pages of Mihawk farming and stuff like that. Mihawk reads Zoro's bounty posters and is proud. Kyle D. Sullivan, thank you for the 10. With how Big Mom, Kaido, and now Kid went down, it's hard to imagine it feeling impactful if they came back. I don't want Kaido and Big Mom to come back, personally. I do think Kid coming back could be good, because it's good character stuff. Why tear them down before even giving them a real W, only to tear them down again? Mind-boggling. I would agree with Kaido and Big Mom. With Kid, I think that if he came back, it would have to be in a huge way. The most epic way possible. It would have to be something incredible. Advance conquers Haki, some amazing feat, something, right? Something that makes him look legit, because it's just become a joke at this point. Eric WSZE23 SSAGNMZZAN. You're really not going to change that name, huh? Akainu negged Ivankov and Marine Ford. We should have seen this coming. Yeah, do you think Ivankov's not the same as Kid, though, right? Like, shouldn't Kid be stronger than that? I don't know about that. Henchme976 says, I hope good boy Killer lands on his feet at least. I think we all like Killer, right? Do people like Killer? I like Killer. I think I was always a Killer doubter early on, but I like Killer. I think his fight against Hawkins is an enjoyable one. Malik says, Killer begged for kid's life against Hawkins. Nothing wrong with trying to save those you care about. Yeah, that's where I'm at, right? Tom says, do you think that I think it's a little different because at least in those cases they were saying Zoro, Killer was saying take my life instead, please. Whereas here it's just the Killer Pirates being or Kid Pirates being, please don't kill him. ... Just don't do it. Right? They're not quite taking that extra step, are they? Tom says, do you think that 5 years down the line Shinobu will look back at her deep desire to be a scabbard and cringe in embarrassment? I don't think so. The scabbards are cool for Wano people standards, you know. Tala Jahan, like in the country of Wano, they're like rock stars in Wano, aren't they? Tala Jahan says Kaido never used Advanced Conquerors Haki in Act 1. Compare the panel in 924 to Chapter 1009 and 1010. It looks completely different. No thick inky black lightning. Kaido's a bum. Oh, Katakuri's a bum. No, dude, I just think that I don't think Oda's terribly consistent. I did a whole video on what everyone gets wrong about Haki, where I talked about how the black lightning, inking, and stuff like that is usually not the best metric for whether people are using this type of Haki or that type of Haki because there's clear inconsistencies. I think ultimately you have to go by Luffy's words, which is Luffy having the realization that the attack that Kaido used in Act 1, the attack that Kaido's using against him on the roof, what's the difference? Luffy realizes that, oh, you're using something special. You're using Advanced Conquerors Haki. That's the key, right? Caleb Brown, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 6 months. If Law and Kid's roles are reversed, do they fare the same way? Does Law still get one shot by Shanks, and could Kid overpower Blackbeard? Overall, amazing outcome. So I talked about this a little bit ago. I said basically, in my opinion, I think the same thing happens. It's just that Shanks takes 5 extra seconds to catch Law because Law can teleport. But the thing is that Shanks has future sight, right? So Law's teleportation should not be a problem. Shanks would know exactly where he's going and throw out an attack before Law even got there, right? So it should be the same thing between Law and Kid, in my opinion. Beyond that, Kid versus Blackbeard, I can't speculate at all on Kid versus Blackbeard because the tricky thing is that if you had asked me before this whether Law's Awakening could clash with the Guruguru no Mi, I would have said no, because it just doesn't look like Law's Awakening. To me, Law's Awakening actually didn't even look like a tangible attack, right? K-Room looked like something that went through you and then exploded from the inside. So to see K-Room clashing with Guruguru no Mi was surprising. So in the same sense, I might be underestimating one of Kid's abilities, because instinctively I'd be saying, no, Kid couldn't clash with the Guruguru no Mi. That makes no sense, but maybe I'm underestimating how strong maybe his railgun is or some random thing like that. I don't know. Angel says, Eustace Captain Kid, more like useless Captain Kid. Eustace Captain Kid, more like useless Captain Kid. That's funny. I don't think I've heard that one yet. Tom says, praying that Mihawk's feat isn't one-shotting Sanji. Oh, that'd be funny. Little Dragon 21 says, at Mr. Morj, Shanks annihilating Kid reminds me of Moria being eliminated by Kaido. Where Moria fell to despair, Kid will rise and receive a Haki Bloom. I mean, I hope so. I do hope that Kid gets something more, but it's just like, I almost don't. I'm so done with the dude losing that it will be too little too late for me, but I would prefer that than him just being out of the story. Remix King says, Morj, I wanted you to rank Red, Gold, and Ruby based on narrative. BTW, it seems like you had enough time to answer the starter question. I just love all the starters so much, so I couldn't. Red was my favorite because it focused on the main character Red. Gold was my second favorite because I just felt like thematically it carried on a lot of the ideas from Red very well. Ruby I was not the biggest fan of because I just felt like I felt as though the character arc, I felt as though Red, Blue, and Green were somewhat forgotten during the Ruby character arc. So that's my personal take on it. And the starters, I can't rank them. I realized I couldn't rank them because they're just, I love them too much. Oh, you asked me what were the starters, right? What were the starters? I'm going to have to follow up with you on that just because I love the starters so much, I can't remember whose starter was whose. Abraham Ogbaslasi says, LMAO, hearing you pronounce my name was worth the super chat on its own. Did I get it right? Glad I've finally been able to make a live stream. Been a long time fan. Glad you were able to join. This has been a pretty crazy stream so far. Yeah. A lot of people enjoyed seeing Shanks fuck up Kid. Blue says, Morj Sensei, which Seraphim would you want to join Blackbeard? Which Seraphim? Ideally a villainous one, like a Doflamingo one or a Crocodile one, or I don't know, not a Moria one. If we had to pick Mihawk because it's the strongest Seraphim, right? Chunk YT says, Morj, my question earlier was misinterpreted. I'm sorry about that. I meant which situation is the hardest to succeed in? Oh, escaping Egghead, Blackbeard ambush, or Angry Shanks? Oh, that's a good question. That's a really good question. Assuming Shanks is serious, right? Sorry I misinterpreted it earlier. I think Shanks and the red-haired pirates are stronger than Blackbeard and the Blackbeard pirates right now. So that's harder than that, right? So Shanks above Blackbeard. Assuming it's serious Shanks, right? Escaping Egghead. We won't really know till it happens because we don't have a full scope of what the Marines are bringing to the party. On the flip side, there are all these Seraphim running around, and I'm going to count those as part of the difficulty of escaping. I'll even throw CP0 in there as part of the difficulty of escaping. I'm still going to go ahead and say the red-haired pirates. But I think escaping Egghead would be harder than getting away from Blackbeard and his crew right now. Reason being, I think Blackbeard and Kizaru, I think right now Blackbeard's strength is so hard to place, you could argue it either way between him versus Kizaru. Let's say Blackbeard is stronger, right? But then I don't think that the crew members that Blackbeard's brought to the table are that strong, right? I think dealing with the Marines and the Lunarians is a bigger deal than dealing with, who is it? Burgess and Van Augur and Doc Q, right? So I think that's the situation. And then the last thing I'll add is that escaping from Egghead also just got more complicated because the Blackbeard pirates also showed up there. So you can add that into the mix, right? Take Inventory says, is that Law's hat and sword in the Blackbeard panel? Is that Law's hat and sword in the Blackbeard panel? I don't know. I didn't decipher that panel enough. I think some people were saying it's Shiryu's. Isaiah Davis, thanks for the 10. What just happened to Cade will happen to Zoro by Mihawk during the Davy backfight, breaking both Enma and Sandai Kadetsu, leaving him with only Wado Ichimonji, which will become black during the battle. So he's only got one sword left at the end of it. It's Wado Ichimonji, but it's a black blade. You're saying he loses, or are you saying he wins and the blade becomes black, but he loses the other two? I don't think Zoro loses the other two blades. I'm just going to say that. That's my personal opinion. It'd be cool. It'd be a cool twist. Island Sanji says, so Blackbeard is really pulling up to Egghead. Yeah, I mean, it looks like... No, I don't know if it's Blackbeard himself. I'm hoping Blackbeard is still at Beehive Island, where he'll be waiting to do Beehive Island stuff against Garp, right? I'm hoping some interesting members of his crew show up here, because so far we've been kind of moving the crew members around, right? Like Aokiji, Van Augur went to what is it? Whole Cake Island, right? You had Aokiji and Van Augur go over there to Whole Cake Island. You had Katarina Devon and Vasco Shot go to Amazon Lily. You had Van Augur again, Jesus Burgess, and Doc Q go to Winter's Island, right? That's what it's called, right? Winter's Island, is that what it's called? I forget what it's called. The one that Law's on, right? So the crew members are moving around, so I would love to see a different combination of members here. Maybe Shiryu and someone else. Tala Jahan, thank you again. Luffy only figured out what Advanced Conqueror's Haki is after the 1009 hit. The first time we see Inky Black Lightning, reread its 1010 line, he makes zero reference to Act 1. I think you're probably right on that, so I'm not going to go back and check. But I think the assumption for the reader would be that it's the same thing, because why wouldn't Kaido be... Again, I think just reading into the how black the lines are throws things off a little bit, because, you know, is it consistent every time that Advanced Conqueror's Haki is using that there's a specific type of dark shading and stuff like that? I just don't know if that's the case. And to overcomplicate things, one thing I've argued is that we can't even look at the Black Lightning or Black Sparks as proof of Advanced Conqueror's Haki or not, because there are actually multiple instances of characters that can't use Advanced Conqueror's Haki getting the Black Lightning effect, right? With all of that heavy inking and everything. So, for example, when the Scabbards cut Kaido with their team attack, that was, but that was supposed to signify just advanced armament and Ryo, and that was actually established and made very clear in the story. So I just don't think Oda's that consistent with it. I think it's just an effect that we kind of take it or leave it. Scholar H says York joining Blackbeard Pirates, Saturn will keep Seraphim. I do think Im and them keeping the Seraphim is important. I've talked before about how important I think the Seraphim are to the end of the story. Saturn joining the Blackbeard Pirates, I don't personally see that. But actually it would be cool. It's just that she also says that not Saturn, York. York also says in the same chapter that I'm not that strong. So if she's saying she's not that strong, I don't see how she'd be an asset. Alright. Yeah, let's get the likes to 1,500. Appreciating the push, guys. Definitely appreciating the push. I am going to call the stream in a little bit. Let's see if we can get the likes to 1,500 there before that. While we're on this note, have there been any membership comments that I've missed? Sorry, there's been a lot going on. Mr. Chad Rodriguez says, what the hell am I doing with my life? Says Captain Kid. Micah Ellis, thanks. I feel like I'm being edged. You missed my super chat from earlier, lol. Enjoying the stream. I'm sorry, man. Let me check your super chat from earlier. Yeah, if I've missed any, then definitely let me know. Okay, Sean Easton saying, I missed a super from Micah Ellis. I think this is Kid's Saboti moment. He isn't taking the New World serious. Look at his arm. And then something about Film Red. And then something about Film Red. And then something about Film Red. I don't know what to say about Film Red, but I will say with the Saboti moment. So again, I talked about this in the video that I think is coming out Tuesday. It's just weird because this has already happened to Kid multiple. The Saboti incident stands out so much because it was the first time that happened to the Straw Hat Crew, and it was a shocker and impactful because of that. This has just been a recurring trend for Kid. Why is this? It just doesn't make sense. Why is this any more of a wake-up incident than the first time he lost his arm to Shanks, right? Or when Kaido destroyed him and his entire crew, right? When the narrator text box says, I'll just talk about it in the Tuesday video. I think I'll give a better spiel on it there because it's scripted. But it's just so bizarre because it's just been happening, right? It's not as... It's just... This feels more... Imagine if Kid had been sailing through the New World and had actually been a somewhat successful pirate, right? Or at the very least, if not successful, maybe we just hadn't seen him. He hadn't been brought back into the story just yet. We kind of just heard that he's doing this or that on the side. Kind of the Uruj treatment, right? The Uruj treatment or something, right? There'd be nothing wrong with that. Then the first time we see him is at Elbaf, and then at Elbaf, Shanks destroys him, right? Cool. That's amazing. That's impactful. That's like, wow, Kid got a Saboti moment. But this is just, he's been getting Saboti moments. This is not even the first time his crew's been completely annihilated. It already happened in Wano. He's done this before. This is not the first time he suffered a major defeat. This time at least he got to keep his arm. The first time he suffered losing his arm to Shanks, right? Like this is a recurring pattern. It's so the narrator even drawing the parallel here to Saboti as though, wow, what a shocking incident that just happened to the Kid Pirates. It's like, no, it's not. With the Straw Hats and Saboti, that was a first time. That was sudden. That was out of nowhere. That wasn't supposed to happen. With Kid, this is just a Tuesday. Right? This is just a Tuesday. Right? This is what happens. This is what he does. Bassem Faruqi says, do you think the government will utilize S. Moria's fruit in any interesting ways? His fruit seems to have a lot of potential in the hands of the government since you can utilize the bodies of the dead. Thanks for the 10. I think, I don't know yet if we're going to get the villain Seraphim, right? Doflamingo, Crocodile, Moria. There is the argument that maybe Crocodile and Moria were taken out pre-time skip, so no time to develop Seraphim for them. Who knows? But in that regard, utilizing the bodies of the dead, one thing I always hope we can avoid is the Naruto Fourth Ninja War scenario where it's just bringing back lots of strong characters from the dead to make the war more exciting, but actually, in my opinion, worse. So let's hope that it's not the same thing. But I think it's an interesting idea. Oh, we're almost at 1,500. Good shit. Cryptic Nix is 9 to 5 getting beat up. Yeah, pretty much. Jang Jan says Kid is pretty much like Kenny in South Park. Yeah, let me do the poll here. Which is just, do you guys what do the people think? Because I did a poll on Twitter. I'm curious about here. Will Kid come back stronger? So this is not just whether or not Kid will come back. Will he come back stronger? As in, he is going to build himself back up from this, and we're going to see a stronger version, a more competitive version of Eustace Kid by the time the story is over. And in the meantime, oh wait, oh, more people think no than yes. This is tight. It's about 50-50. This is really interesting. I like when story routes are 50-50 split between what people really think will happen. I think it's a slight lead for no. Ken says no, and who cares? That's the bigger thing, which is just that's where I'm at, which is I almost think yes. I'm leaning towards yes, but that's not the issue is the who cares aspect of it, right? Which is that we've gotten to a point with this character where whatever moment he was supposed to probably have where it would have been impactful, that, you know, this guy that was really hyped up and Luffy's main rival and stuff, and the one really competing with him and the only conqueror among the worst generation, right? Oh my god, he was defeated. He had his Sabaody Archipelago moment. He's got to get up, learn, get stronger, come back, have a moment, right? That moment feels like it should have happened multiple times over already, right? What was the point of Kid in all of Wano if there was no sort of growth or comeback arc for him from being completely destroyed towards the beginning, and then kind of by the end he's kind of just, you know, there's just no acknowledgement. He's just back. He does some shit. Doesn't do anything to Kaido even though he wanted revenge. Gets in some stuff against Big Mom. They cheese their way to a win. Cheeses their way to a win, and then nothing is really learned, no growth or whatever. He just takes up a bunch of screen time and yells a lot and does some stupid shit. And then the next arc, we're just him losing again. It's like, okay, so this time around, we're supposed to be excited for some growth. It's like, this feels as though whatever should have happened with this character should probably already have happened earlier. It would have probably made the Wano arc better if we're getting another good character arc out of it, right? Because I do think that Wano, while having many characters, is severely limited in the amount of actual good character arcs or character writing there is. Not to say it's not there, and I can cite some things that I think were good. But I think looking at the giant cast of characters, how many actually of those were necessary or added anything to the story, or the writing, you know, was actually significant to the arc in some way and helped add depth to the arc, I'd say that percentage-wise, it's remarkably slim, right? So Kid is just part of that added bloat to the arc, and it's especially damning if the next arc he just goes through the same exact plot line. It's just like, oh, but this time in Elbaf he'll learn something. It's like, why the fuck didn't he do it in Wano? Or if he wasn't supposed to do it in Wano, why not just not have him in Wano and then have this be the moment he learns something? Why just do the same thing? Why have him do this? You know, you get what I'm saying? It's like the Straw Hats had their Sabaody moment. It was the Sabaody moment that led to growth, right? Kid's been having this moment over and over. Why should we care the third time around? So when somebody says, this is what I was responding to, somebody said, no, Kid's not going to be back, and even if he is, who cares? That's the problem, right? It's just we've seen this trend with this character too many times. We don't care about him anymore. Bobby Wellington says, don't hide from Mr. Morj, Shanks, or Mihawk. I'm hiding from it. I'm not talking about it. No, I'm not talking about it. Here's my take on it, right? And I said this earlier in the stream. It's just this. Just wait one more arc. Elbaf might very well start by the end of the year. Just give it one more arc. We will get to see Shanks in a full fight, most likely with Luffy, right? A full-on fight with Luffy. By the end of that, we will know, does Shanks just use a sword? Or does he have some stuff that he does where he does not use a sword at all, right? If he just uses a sword, Mihawk is stronger. If he's got some tricks where he puts the sword away and does something else, then it's possible that Shanks is still stronger, right? My argument still is that if you look at the whole story or whatever, it is undeniable that, I mean, just look at this last fucking chapter. It is undeniable that from the start of One Piece to today, Shanks Oda has just wanked him off a million times more than Mihawk, right? It's just the way it is. Shanks has gotten the most hype, the most build-up, the most significance, the most respect, the most impressive feats, right? The best portrayal of any character in One Piece so far that is alive, right? You have to go back in time to Prime Roger and Whitebeard to see characters that were getting more respect, more hype, etc. in the story than Shanks. However, Shanks uses a sword. Shanks is clearly a swordsman. Mihawk is supposed to be a stronger swordsman. Mihawk should probably beat him in a swords duel, right? The only way you could argue Shanks might be stronger than Mihawk is if Shanks has some level of fighting where he does not use a sword, and that would go outside the perimeter of what would happen in a sword fight with Mihawk. Because if that's the case, Mihawk might be a better sword fighter, but Shanks might be stronger overall. That's the only way you can argue Shanks is stronger, right? So, let's just wait an arc. Let's see Shanks have a full-on fight instead of just, a moment where he needs to one-shot some fodder like Kid. Let's see him have a full fight. If he puts the sword away at some point and does some shit without the sword, then bam, Shanks is very likely overall stronger than Mihawk. If he goes the full fight with Luffy just using a sword, then Mihawk is stronger than Shanks. I think it's very, very cut and dry, in my opinion. We just gotta wait. Just wait. It's just a dumb argument, I think, at this moment. At this moment in time. Not saying people are dumb for arguing it. I'm saying it's just, we're at a point where I think everyone knows the rules, I guess. Everyone knows the rules, right? So we kind of just need to see what happens when, well, actually, not everyone knows. I've seen some people say that, like, if a character even touches a sword, then it doesn't matter if they have lots of stuff that's not sword related. Mihawk is automatically stronger than them. I'm just like, yeah, I don't know if that's how that works. It's just like, when you're the strongest swordsman, that would mean that you're the strongest when fighting with swords, right? Like, in terms of a sword duel, right? Like, if Prime Whitebeard picked up a sword for a day, that wouldn't make him the strongest swordsman in the world, even if he's fighting with a sword, right? So, I mean, I think the logical rules are basically Mihawk can beat anyone in a sword fight. Shanks seems to only be able to fight with a sword. That's it, right? So, if we see Shanks fighting Luffy, Shanks is just using a sword. GG, Mihawk is stronger, right? Can't believe I just said GG. Maybe I've been watching too much streams and stuff like that. You know why? It's because I've been watching Dark Souls no-hit streams. Those are fun. Cesar Naro says PG420Q or AW3423DW. What does that mean? Kid character arc incoming. I don't even know what that means. I'm so dumb. What does that mean? No, you're dumb. What does that mean? So a slight majority think that Kid is not going to come back stronger. Yeah, how are you guys seeing the ranking for stream stuff? I think it's cool. Where are you guys streaming this? I mean, where are you guys seeing this? Let's get the likes to 1,500. Zoom by says, who would you have Kid fight if he came back? I can't think of Oda allowing him to fight an Admiral or Seraphim since they are better matchups. I think a Seraphim might be a good pick if the Seraphim are elevated in importance over time. I think an Admiral would be kind of random. Yeah, I think that the Seraphim would be a good pick if the Seraphim are made to be stronger over time. Let me type in YouTube trending streams. Let's see if we can find it. God damn it. YouTube is, you can't find live stuff easily. Okay, what if I go here? Live. Wait. I don't see me. Are you guys lying to me now? Oh no, there it is. That's so cool. All right, let's look at this. Here, let's put it on stream. That's so cool. All right, maybe this will incentivize people to like the stream. You guys ready? All right. We're going to look at the top YouTube streaming. So we're going to scroll down a little bit. And, oh, what's this we see here? That's awesome. It's right behind Argentina versus Panama. When does this game end? Is the game almost over? That's pretty cool. I don't think we've ever had a... Well, probably during the Reverie and like bigger, other past big chapters or whatever. But at least I don't really know what... this lo-fi hip-hop shit is probably always going to be up there, right? All right, guys, let's like the stream. Let's see if we can get it up even a little bit higher. But let's see if we can make top 10. That'd be crazy. I also don't think we've ever checked, but that's good to know. AJK says, LMAO, you better be thanking us, mods. Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't give credit. Thanks for getting us to 1,500 likes. Yeah, and that's cool. We were actually on YouTube's top trending thing for a minute. That's pretty cool. Yumi says, can we get much higher? Bobby Wellington says, shake my head, light mode. See, this is what I was talking about. I don't really customize anything about anything, I guess, that's technology related. So people were roasting me earlier. They're like, why is your wallpaper all blank and shit? And I'm just, or not blank, it's just the generic computer wallpaper. I'm like, I don't know, because I don't need to customize that. Why is my phone ringtone the automatic custom phone, like automatic pre-packaged phone ringtone? I don't know, because it just needs to be a ringtone. It doesn't need to be anything fancy. Why do I use light mode? I don't know, because that's just how it fucking came, and I got used to it. That's how it looks. I prefer light mode. Maybe if I use dark mode more frequently, I'd get used to dark mode, but I prefer light mode as is. I like it. It's nice and bright. Everything's, yeah, it's just bright, you know? It's nice. Keenan, thanks, man, for gifting 5 subs. Or not subs. Dude, it's these fucking Dark Souls things that I've been watching. These Dark Souls no-hit runs that I've been watching. It's got me speaking Twitch talk. Thank you for the 5 memberships. I appreciate it quite a bit, man. Yeah, this was a pretty crazy stream, I think, so far. I am pretty tired, guys. I will say, the other thing is I haven't eaten. I will say this. If you're hyped about Shanks from this chapter, go get that poster. You know you want that poster. It's a really, really fucking nice poster. You can get it. Just click the link that is pinned to the top of this comment chat thing, and you can get it in your house today. Not today, but, you know, you can order it today, and it'll come very soon. But it's a very nice poster. Yeah, everybody thank Keenan. Keenan's the man. Mr. Chad Rodriguez says, praise the sun, Morj, Dark Souls. Yeah, if you... like, Solero was not a part of my journey, I'll just say that. He met an untimely demise fairly early on. LJ916 says, is Luffy supposed to take Vegapunk? Could there be a chance Blackbeard's crew takes York, who has similar knowledge and knows she's been betrayed too? Blackbeard's crew takes York. It could be interesting, but they also have Pudding, right? So with Pudding, they would have access to whatever... How much knowledge does Blackbeard need? I don't know. He's got Pudding. So Blackbeard's crew could be arriving right now for an attempt at the Seraphim, attempt at York, like you mentioned. There's a variety of things. Whole Milk says, can I get a shout out, please? What does that even mean? I missed some supers. Let me double check. Sorry. Let me catch those. We got this. Rei Uchiha says, I think Yuruj is going to come back with Advanced Conquerors Haki and finally take over Totalan. Watch Yuruj be the secret, the dark horse of this whole competition. He just swoops in. He's actually really strong. He does a lot of shit. That'd be pretty cool. I mean, we did already get that minor hype over the Sweet Commander thing. There's a theory that he's the 10th Titanic captain, which would be interesting. Cigar Verk says, bigger question is when is Pin Zoro shown training Roger? That's where Roger got all his sword skills. I think I caught everything. Do I think DOS Chain says? Do you think DOS Chain says? Do you think Lucci and Kaku will be allies in the final battle? No. Maybe, maybe. Sean Easton says Keenan came in with those memberships like Shanks. Yeah. AJK is asking Wano theory soon. What Wano theory? You mean Wano analysis? I've talked about that. It's still in the works. I'm trying to do the Berserk video, maybe one more video for Manga Morj, get a bit of a backlog for that, and then try and finish out the Wano video. Yuj is a 50 Onko. Who else likes light mode? Who else likes light mode? I'm convinced that there must be something good about light mode, right? Because light mode, do you use light mode or dark mode? Because the thing is, you guys might make fun of me for using dark mode, but don't all these companies spend like a crazy amount of time doing research and shit to see what's the most aesthetically pleasing layout for their sites? And the default is always light mode. So that means that, oh my god, 84% say dark mode. Alright, well, I'll just say Bill Gates and shit agree with me. That's all I gotta say. Because the default is light mode, right? Who invented Twitter? That guy agrees with me. Who invented YouTube? They agree with me. I got nothing to say. Rojas Damighty says people are sheep, that's why they like dark mode. I agree. Morj gonna need glasses soon. I do wear glasses. I'm wearing contacts right now. I did a stream one time with glasses. Yeah. Afterglow asks, Morj, do you think it's reasonable to accept Oda to deliver solid conclusions to so many characters and their arcs? Just seems like too much. It depends what you mean by reasonable conclusions, right? Because I think at the very least, we need the Straw Hats, right? That's the most important at the end of the day. We need the Straw Hats. I feel like Dragon is important. I feel like Shanks is important. Maybe Kid wasn't that important at the end of the day. Depends whether or not you feel that this was a quote-unquote reasonable conclusion, right? I think getting something for every character is not doable, but for the core characters, I think it is very, very important, because I think no matter how big One Piece gets, how crazy everything gets, at the end of the day, I feel like as long as it sticks true to its roots, which is that it's really about the Straw Hat crew, it's about the Straw Hat Pirates, that's what we spent the entirety of pre-time skip focusing on, the cast that we really got to know and love, and we were fed the idea that this whole story is leading to the conclusion of at least many of their dreams, if not all, but their character arcs are an important, crucial part of the rest of the story. So as long as we get something good for all of them by the end of the story, I think that that's tier 1 in terms of importance. If you can do that, then I think many people will be very satisfied. Then other characters just fall in line along the way. Good conclusion for Shanks, good conclusion for Dragon, stuff like that. Let's hope we can get those two. Good conclusion for Law, stuff like that. I mean, honestly, at this point, Law is just as important as a Straw Hat, right? He's arguably more important than, than a Brook, as harsh as that is to say. But, I think we're past a point where we can say, like, oh, just because you're a Straw Hat, or the Straw Hats are the only main characters of the story, right? I'd say Law is in there, too. I think Law is the only one that I would definitely put into that category. You could say Vivi, but Vivi hasn't been... Yeah, you could say Vivi. I think you could say Sabo as well. Ray Uchiha says, I use dark mode because my eyes are overly sensitive to light. Okay, there we go. I'm sorry to insult those sensitive to light. But, I will say, I will never stop using light mode personally. Vista Soul is Shanks. Alright, guys. I think I am going to have to call it a stream soon. Thank you, everybody, for tuning into this one. Next Monday's stream is going to be an interesting one, because I want to kind of go through and grade all of the worst generation and how they did in the New World. If this is the end or not for Kid, I think it's still a good point that we can give him a grade, you know? I think talking about the worst generation in the New World, because I really want to reflect on that group. It's a controversial bunch. We came in with such high hopes for them, you know, at the end of Saboti, but how did things turn out? It's interesting, right? Manifest Joe, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 5 months. Oda definitely seems to be making Shanks the ultimate honorable Yakuza with the protection money. I agree. Thoughts on Shanks getting an intel report on Kid? I know people are memeing Shanks or Kid a lot for Shanks not even knowing who he is. Shanks did know, unless I'm mistaken, Shanks did know who Kid was. He knew his bounty. He just wanted some extra information. Like, come on, Shanks knew who Kid was. He's a 3 billion berry bounty. That's like the third most wanted person in One Piece right now, right? Tied for, at the very least, right? Let me double check. I'm pretty sure that's true. Shanks knew. I mean, come on. He said, and he called him a big shot. Yeah, Shanks knew he's worth 3 bill. Oh, no, he didn't. Wait, did he? Yeah. He said, don't sweat it, Chief. We can handle this. Shanks says you shouldn't underestimate the growth of these youngsters. His head's worth 3 billion after all. Shanks knew. Come on. But I do think it's funny the way people spun it. Jack Mihawk says, that's such a dope poster, but I can't get over that goofy-ass scotch tape makes it look way worse. Oh, no. I was worried about the scotch tape situation. Oh, shit. I'm going to get poster putty for next time. Because here's the thing. There is a poster frame that I used before, but it fell and it broke. So I don't want to use that poster frame anymore. So I'm using tape, which I realize is not the best way to present it. But I did the thing before where you wrap the tape, you do a circle wrap with it. You do a circle wrap with the tape and then you put it behind the poster. But that didn't stick too well, so then I did scotch tape around the borders. I should have done poster putty or gotten a new frame or something like that. I'm sorry, but the poster is really, really fucking nice. For those of you who can't see it, yeah, let me pull this up. It's a really fucking good poster. This is it. This is the bad boy. This is Shanks. This is what it'll look like in your living room. This is what it'll look like in your bedroom if you so want Shanks watching over you. This is what it'll look like over your coffee mugs and shit. This is what it'll look like underneath your, I don't know, Christmas lights or whatever. It's a nice poster. Highly recommend you guys get it. The artist has other shit too on his Instagram. Adoob is his name. But this is the only place that you can actually buy it. So he's selling it through the Morj store, basically. That's also going to be the general thing, which is just that the Morj store is going to keep getting more and more posters as more artists reach out to just sell their stuff through it. Sean Easton says, AJK got you up to 1.6K with 1.7 viewers, clutch as fuck. AJK, I do appreciate you. I also appreciate everybody else helping and chiming in. All the mods and everything like that. But I definitely appreciate, we got to the trending streaming thing, which is pretty fucking insane. So thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it. Oh, people are asking, okay. I didn't want to print it out on a giant printer because that's not the actual size. That's the size that it'll be. Okay. I think that we can probably, let me see, what's Parvision saying? Morj unironically is more of a clown than Buggy. What the fuck? Fun 6000 says, Porge, I still believe the Wano analysis video is coming out. Good. Believe it. It is coming out. Oh, we adding AJK to the managers? Okay. Hold on. Let's do it. I was gonna do this all next stream, but the chat is slowed down enough that we can do. So AJK, I'm gonna remove you as standard mod, and we're gonna upgrade you to managing mod. So we got that. Power Vision says Morj is reading chat. Rare W, what the fuck? I always read chat. Leave me alone. Okay. Joe Mama says Morj talk about Dark Souls. All right, we'll talk about that very briefly before ending stream. Yeah, we gotta end stream. I'm hungry. Dark Souls 3. I'm at the princes. I just killed so last night I killed the older brother prince, and then predictably the younger brother prince was like, "We're doing this shit again," and I was like, "I'm going to sleep." That's where I'm at. I think that the area of the game that I just kind of wrapped, I mean, I still have to kill the princes or whatever, but the area of the game that I just wrapped, the castle, it's basically the castle and the Grand Archives, but the archives I feel like weren't a big part of it. Really, the castle was really, I think that's actually my favorite area of the game, this last area that I completed, because the ambience, environment, the scenery, like the sky, everything like that, everything about the castle feels really, really epic. Especially once you get out onto the roof, you exit everything before the archives themselves are a bit whatever, but then everything before the archives and then past the archives when you're out on the roofs, traveling across the rooftops and everything like that, and all of these guards, and there's gargoyles, and there's knights, and all of this shit, and towers, and the sky is an amazing color. I think that just everything about it has the most epic feel of any of the Dark Souls levels between 1 and 3 so far, period. Definitely the coolest. I'm not going to say it's my favorite area, period, because it probably is my favorite area so far in Dark Souls 3. But at least in terms of atmosphere, ambiance, general feeling of epicness, general feeling of, holy shit, this is serious dark fantasy shit, like high fantasy shit or whatever. It's an amazing feel. Yeah, I've been enjoying that section of the game quite a bit. I think, let me finish out Dark Souls 3 before I give my final thoughts on it. Right now, I don't like it as much as Dark Souls 1, for certain reasons, but I still think it's really good. And I haven't finished the sections I still have to do are, I'm doing all of the optional sections, so I'm doing all of the optional bosses and everything like that, and I'm going to do the DLC. So the sections I have left are literally just, I think I complete this. Then I know after that I can do Soul of Cinder. But before that, I want to do the area. I know there's an area where you can fight the Nameless King. So that's the last optional section I have to do. I've done all the other ones. I did the Demon Ruins. I did the Consumed King Gardens. I did the Untended Graves yesterday and everything like that. So after this, after I beat the princes, Soul of Cinder, I'll probably do Soul of Cinder last, actually. So I beat the princes. I want to do the Nameless King. Then I got 2 DLCs to do, and then Soul of Cinder. So I'm thinking, I don't know how long all that shit will take me, right? I really don't know. I know that one of the DLCs is really long, so we'll see. Yeah, one of the DLCs is really long. We'll have to see, but maybe by Monday, if I've got nothing to do this weekend, we'll see. But yeah, that's where I'm at. Caleb, cool guy, welcome to the Yonko. All powerful god NL, welcome to the Yonko. Thanks, I've seen you in chat a little bit. But yeah, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. All right. Joe Mama's asking, is it because Dark Souls 1 is all interconnected, Morj? No, I mean, that's part of it. That's definitely part of it's several factors. It's a lot of factors that add up to me preferring Dark Souls 1 to Dark Souls 3. One of the things is also, I'll give my full opinion kind of after I'm done, I think. Yeah, I'll give my full opinion after I'm done. But yeah, been a long stream, guys. I enjoyed it. Thank you guys for being so active throughout it. Thanks for all of the supers and members and all of the new members. Thanks for mods for pushing the stream so much. Yeah, appreciate it all. All right. Ewoks is Dark Souls 1 best level design. I would agree. I would agree. There's a variety of factors to it. I will say that the Dark Souls 3 bosses are as good as people hype them up to be so far. I think some have been really challenging. Yeah, really, really challenging. Yeah, I'll give a full thing later. I'm just tired. Joe Mama says Dark Souls 3 better level design, but world design Dark Souls 1 wins. See, that's a sentiment I've seen some people say on like Dark Souls 3 subreddits and stuff like that. I disagree. And the main reason I disagree, I think it's better if I flesh out in a future thing, but I think that one of the biggest things I notice is that, and I can, again, give a more comprehensive opinion later. I'm just a little burnt, but one of the biggest things I notice is that with Dark Souls 3, even if some of the areas, some of the levels are very intricately designed and they do have the same sort of setup of, shortcuts or areas connecting back to one another, and they're generally kind of long and elaborate, right? So I think architecturally, you could argue that some are as good, maybe even better than Dark Souls 1 levels. I'd say the biggest difference to me, level design-wise, is not so much how the physical architecture is structured, but rather what you're doing in there, like the actual gameplay and how you're interacting with the level. And my experience with Dark Souls 3 was that I could just run past a lot of shit and just get to the next bonfire or the next shortcut to the next bonfire very, very easily. I could just run, right? There's lots of enemies and things like that in most of the levels. You don't have to interact with a lot of the enemies. Whereas in Dark Souls 1, I really, really, really felt like the game forced you to figure out a route, and you were kind of left in the dark for a long time, and it was much harder to get to the next bonfire, much harder to get to the next shortcut. And you really had to learn a route or learn the level, right? Here, I feel like I can kind of speed through a lot, and even if I realize, oh, this connects back to this, or this is very intricate or something like that, I don't have to interact with the level that much. So I'll elaborate on that and give more examples and stuff next time we bring up Dark Souls, but I can think a lot of moments in Dark Souls 1 where I was really just, there's like a certain section of the game that you just have to do over and over and learn and get down, and then basically you finally get to that next shortcut or fire or bonfire. I can almost not think of a single point in Dark Souls 3 that is anything similar. That's basically it. Okay. Alright guys, I will talk to you guys later. Joe Mama says enemy placements, Dark Souls 1 and winning 2. Yeah, but I count enemy placements as part of level design, because that's designing what's happening in the level. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. Alright guys, thanks so much. Thanks, etc. Buy the poster. Ignore the scotch tape. The poster itself is really, really fucking nice. It's really good quality, blah, 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 blah. And I'll talk to you all later. Peace.